the brand. And it's the brand, and the brand lives, and the brand speaks, and the brand listens, and people connect to the brand.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, June 20th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1148.
This is No Agenda.
Under attack from 451 errors and broadcasting live from the south of Portugal in the Algarve. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where Tom Cruise is not representing the F-35, from what I can tell, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Yes. Thanks for the info on Tom Cruise. I feel so up to date now, up to speed.
Now you know. Now you know.
I still hear that ground loop. Oh, well, we'll have to deal.
I don't have a ground loop on my end.
You know, would you like a ground loop? I can send one over to you.
Send me I want a sugar-coated.
Sugar-coated ground loop.
Yeah. I had ground loops for breakfast the other day.
All right. Hey, here I am, John, in the Algarve in the south of Portugal, the southernmost tippy tip.
Yeah, beautiful area.
Yeah, beautiful. And the day that we have beautiful weather is the day we do the show. I'm not
Well,
kidding.
is it a little late anyway?
Well,
and by the way,
5 o'clock.
Portugal's like Brazil and some of these other countries. They don't even start eating dinner till midnight.
Yeah, but it would have been nice to catch a little more sun. We had 2 days. Let's see. We got here Monday afternoon, so it was beautiful Monday afternoon.
The
but
sacrifices we have to make for the low donations while you're on the road.
I'm leading up to that. Why do you always blow my punchline? It's like I'm getting all the way up.
You don't send me a cheat sheet.
Monday, we arrived Monday from where were we?
You were in Ireland.
Yes, Northern Ireland. That's right, Northern Ireland. And we flew down here with the Easy Jets, which was interesting because it was already filled with the rowdy Brits.
Was there a soccer game going on?
No, man. It's just, you know how the Brits, they like to go to other places outside of their own country and get really drunk and obnoxious?
Well, they do that in their own country, too, from my experience.
No, they're a little extra bad when they come to the mainland. In fact,
well, it's like your theory on podcasts.
What's that? What's my theory?
People go on to a podcast and think, I can say anything I want.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening. So we grabbed a cab to the place we're staying. And first of all, it was great. This guy was 47 years old, so I could try out my little trivia question on him. I said, hey, were you around in the 80s? Yeah, I was about 13. He said, do you remember a countdown? And he does a double take. Oh, my God, that's you. So they do still remember if they're old enough.
Why don't you just say, do you know who I am?
No, the phrase is, surely you know who I am. But he said, hey, when you guys go back, make sure that you have at least 2 hours, be at the airport 2 hours ahead of time. He says, because when the Brits are going back, they're drunk, they can't find their paperwork, their passports, they forgot them, they hold up the line. He says, it's a mess. Another travel tip from your No Agenda show.
That's actually a good tip.
That's a pretty good trip. The big problem, though, has been the 451s.
Explain.
Error 451. This is an actual web server error that is implemented, and it involves the general data protection rules. So here's just a small sampling of Adam doing a show prep. I go to a website. We recognize you are attempting to access this website from a country belonging to the European Economic Area, including the EU, which enforces the general data protection regulations, and therefore access cannot be granted at this time. Thanks for your patience. Thank you for being a patron of the Dallas Morning News. Unfortunately, our site is unavailable to European Union visitors while we work with our partners to ensure your data is protected. We're committed to serving our communities and are eager to become technically compliant to provide award-winning journalism to all of our readers. Unfortunately, our website is currently available in most European countries. We are engaged on the issue and committed to looking at options that support our full range of digital offerings to the EU market. We continue to identify technical compliance solutions that will provide all readers with our award-winning journalism. In other words, I would say a good 15% of what I was trying to access is not legally accessible, or for non-VPN users, people who don't understand how you can circumvent it, it's just not available.
Did this just start? I mean, you must have had this.
We've had it before. No, we've definitely had it before. We did not witness it.
Why is it bothering you now? We've done 3 shows from overseas.
I did not have it in the UK. It was not in the UK.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't notice it. So this is the first one on the mainland, and now I'm getting this nonstop.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I would have noticed it. I would have made note of it. And
you would have. I know the way you complain that it's always consistent.
After 11 years, I'd be complaining like a little bitch. I mean,
and
obviously.
All of a sudden, you're complaining about something that you should have been complaining about 2 shows ago.
And I'm just trying not to hear the ground loop. Yeah. So, and honestly, I was thinking about setting up the VPN. I could set up the VPN quite easily, but man, it's already. I'm amazed that we're talking to each other without massive delay. There's maybe a megabit and a half each way on the Wi-Fi connection here.
Oh,
and the dongle has full bars, but only 3G. I can't get a 4G signal, so
it's fine.
Yeah, hopefully
sounds good. You sound good.
Hopefully, be okay.
I mean, I'm sure when I come out when the show is finished, I'll sound. Well, Adam, what did you think about that? Because won't have any good quality going through to your side. But
no, you sound pretty good.
Huh?
Yeah. By the way, that's a time code notation. Thank you. So things I've learned while here.
What have you learned, Adam?
They have a new product here, which I think is outstanding.
It's in Portugal?
Yes. And it apparently was invented in Portugal. Let me see if there's a name I did ask about it, so I know it was invented here in Portugal. Wine in a tube. so they have these tubes that are like a test tube, except it's the width of a bottleneck. So so that's about.
That's a big tube.
It's a sizable tube, and I'd say it is about. Let me see. I'd say it's about 5 inches. 1, 2, no, maybe about 7 inches. Wait, I should know. It's about 10 inches, and it's the top the whole. It's the diameter of a wine bottle. So it has a twist off top, and they sell. It's basically a one hit. It's like you pour it into your glass. It's good for one glass.
It's one glass.
You can take
how much? What's the milliliters on that thing?
Oh, hold on a second. I have the different. Let me find that. Hold on. I'll give you the mils.
100.
Got it from the. Yeah, all right. Got it from the mini bar. Here we go. 100 milliliter.
Okay.
100 mils.
Makes sense. Well, I don't know. These kinds of things have been around in the trade for some time as for tasting, for wine tasters and professionals.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was for real alcoholics, because you just pop this in your jacket, in your purse. Bam, you got a cocktail. Wherever you need it.
A little metal flask is still best for the
Here
alcoholic.
it is. Genuine Wit bottle. WIT. That's their registered trademark. Flacon Wit. So those are the guys that, I guess, trademarked it, a registered trademark. But it's they're putting everything in it, all kinds of wine. I don't know. I just thought it was a genius idea.
Yeah, wine tastings would be perfect with these things.
Yeah. And it's just handy to take along, you're at school. Little
other uses.
Bam, you're drinking. It's fantastic. So yeah, not much to report, but the television coverage here has been fantastic. As in, they got all the channels you'd want. Sky News, CNN International, CNBC, BBC, multiple BBCs, which is perfect because we have two major things going on here. One would be the choosing of the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdoms of Gitmo Nation East.
Yeah,
and
Boris.
Well, I will remind you that I said it would be Boris, and you were like, no, it's going to be Gove. It's going to be that guy. It's going to be... You were wrong.
I never did that. I just said that's the guy in the running.
No, you said no. Oh, you lie.
I never said no to Boris.
Oh, okay. All right. I shall I'll get a clip for next show.
I want to hear this clip.
No, I'll get a clip where you said no, it's not going to be him.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah. What was interesting is that all of a sudden, as you kind of saw the flow, and now the way they do this is very interesting. They have three rounds of secret ballots amongst the party, and each time you see Boris Johnson is winning, he's winning. They have to whittle that down to 2. That's after, I think, 3 rounds. Then they send the final 2, the number 1 and the closest, after, in this case, Bojo, to a mail-in vote of the Conservative Party across the country. I mean, they should. This is so just begging to be a reality show that I don't understand. I mean, they should have these guys doing
money in the bank
tasks, like eating shitty live bugs. Have to rappel over some angry white water or something.
I'd like to see that with Boris.
It would be Boris would be fantastic. And so, as you see the flow of this, they kept trying to push the Rory guy. The dweeb.
That guy's no good.
But it was like, oh, Rory. Oh, and I think it was just like anyone but Boris. Please, someone just bring Rory. And now he got kicked out, so he's out. So I think it'll be Boris Johnson and was it Hunt? No.
Who?
No. Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt? Yeah, Jeremy Hunt. Isn't that he? I think he'll be number 2.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. But
who was number 2 when Theresa May was putting herself up?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
See, that's how
I don't remember.
it is.
But it's fun to watch, and the cycle is so similar to the hatred for Trump. It's the same thing. He's racist.
Yeah, same hair.
He's a bigot. Well, part of that is, obviously there's some similarity. He's a nut job. He's a loose cannon. My favorite, of course, is Hitler. He's literally Hitler. And there was this fantastic Prime Minister question time the other day where you have the guy from the Scottish National Party, Ian, is it Blackwell, I think his name is? Let me see. What is his name? Ian Blackford.
Unfortunately, the guy that used to represent them was this Angus character, and he was probably the best of the group.
Well, Ian is doing pretty good and this is a full 2-minute clip because it has to go back and forth with the speaker intervening because I mean you can't just be calling a member of parliament a racist in the UK. You can do it in America, but not in the UK. You can't just be doing that.
Does the Prime Minister agree with the front-runner set to succeed her that the Scottish people are a verminous race that should be placed in ghettos and exterminated? Well, of course, Mr. Speaker, words matter and actions matter. The man who published those words in his magazine, the Prime Minister thought was fit for the office of our top diplomat, and he hasn't stopped there. He said that Scots should be banned from being Prime Minister. Banned from being Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. This is a man who is not fit for office. And so I asked, does the Prime Minister realise not only is the member racist, he is stoking division in communities and has a record of dishonesty? Does the Prime Minister honestly believe...
If the right honourable gentleman is referring to a current member of this House, I don't know whether he is, but if he is, he should...
I don't know who he's talking about.
Be extremely careful in the language he uses. He should have notified the member in advance. But I would urge him...
I like this. You can call someone racist as long as you notify him in advance. That's perfect.
I would urge him to weigh his words. Mr. Ian Blackford. And indeed... And indeed, and I think it would be much better if, for now, he would withdraw any allegation of racism against any particular member. I don't think that this is the forum. I don't think it's the right way to behave. Mr. Ian Blackford.
Mr. Speaker, I have informed the member, but the member has called Muslim women letterboxes, described African people as having watermelon smiles, and another disgusting...
Wait a minute. He can't be using our racist memes. He can't be. That's America's racist meme, the watermelon smile. They can't be stealing that.
That I would never dignify by repeating. If that's not racist, Mr. Speaker, I don't know what is. Does the Prime Minister honestly believe that this man is fit for the office of Prime Minister?
Prime Minister!
Can I just say to the right honourable gentleman, he's now been leader of the SNP in this chamber for some time. He's been asking Prime Ministers questions for some time. He might actually understand the purpose of Prime Minister's questions, which is to ask the Prime Minister about the actions of the government. That is what he should be asking us about. And I can say to the right honourable gentleman, that I believe any Conservative Prime Minister in the future will be better for Scotland than the Scottish Nationalist Party.
Butt slam!
So it's been fabulous to watch.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah, you get those moments. It's very entertaining.
Yeah. I like it. I really do.
The Scottish National Party's the worst.
They're so sophisticated over there in Parliament. I just like how they go about their business. Oh, yes. You can call him racist if you'd let him know ahead of time. Thank you. So beautiful. Then we have the race for the president of the EU Commission. This is the one that, this is Juncker's job, Juncker the Drunker. And they're having a hard time figuring out how to come to some consensus on who this should be. I'm hoping for the show's sake that it's Frans Timmermans, the Dutch guy, who's... We might be able to get him to talk to us one day. You never know. But now the former anti-competition minister Margrethe Verstraete.
She's in the running?
She has put herself in the running. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. Let me see. I have two quickie clips from her. And she's playing the gender card, of course.
When you're in...
Oops, here we start with this one.
There has never yet been a female president of this institution. Do you think you're going to be the first?
Well, that I don't know, but I find that it's long overdue that you have a woman on this post as well, because women are not a minority. We are half the European population, half the world population. So I think it's about time that also the Commission reflects that fact. Because it is important that you have more diverse forums to exercise power.
European Commission's Vice President Günther Oettinger, one of your current colleagues, is from the biggest group, the EPP. He said it's out of the question to give you the job of president. What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's obviously his opinion. The European elections were outstanding because so many Europeans, they took the decision, I want to be part of our democracy. More than 50% voted, and that's a first. And second, they didn't vote as they usually voted. The EPP were losing, I think, around 40 seats. S&D were losing seats as well. My social liberal family gained seats, so did the Greens. So there's a new dynamic in the European Parliament. And I think it's very important to hear that call for change.
Oh, yes, a call for change. So there's 28 members, of course, so one for each country. And she wants that to be, what is the term? Gender balanced. Which means she wants a quota. Or does she want a quota?
When you're in a diverse group, when you sort of break uniformity in how we look, very often you also break uniformity in how you think. You get better discussions, you get better decisions. You see that very much in business, and you also see that in political decision-making, in my experience.
So if you became Commission President, would you have 14 women commissioners, 14 male commissioners?
Well, it may be 14 women and 13 men, since we may use the UK. But I think this is this is one of the areas where we can show Europeans that we change, because a lot of the changes that we're dealing with, they, of course, are slow, and it takes time to realize that things are changing.
But do you believe in quotas?
Well, call it a quota. I don't think 50-50 is a quota. And anyway, we have accepted sort of informal male quotas of 80-90% for not even decades, but for centuries, where women have not had the same access to exercising power. I think it is about time that we get a gender-balanced commission.
Gender balance, there it is. And I can tell her it's not going to happen. Because Europe, this is an old man's club. They're not going to let any women come in and run the show.
Can happen.
No,
I think it can happen.
No, it's way too early. Europe is still way behind us, the U.S., on all this stuff. We have rammed it hard, so fast and hard through everything that the heads are still spinning. Okay. No, I think it's just going to be dudes. You watch.
Well, if she gets in, she's going to shake things up.
Yeah, because there's a lot of power. It's a lot of power there. A lot of power.
I think that's the most powerful spot.
Yeah. And I don't have a clip, but I'm sure you saw Angela Merkel, man. She was with Macron. No, she was with the Ukrainian president, the new Ukrainian president in Berlin.
Yes, she swooned.
There you go. I think that could have come from dehydration, but it was not a good look. That it was like she had an attack of some sort.
This reminds me of, insofar as not a good look is concerned, of when George H.W. Bush puked all over the
Prime Minister of Japan.
Prime Minister, and then passed out.
That was not a good look either. I agree. And it was interesting that the Ukrainian president, maybe he was really engrossed by whatever was going on. He didn't see that. He didn't see that out of his peripheral vision. That she's shaking like a leaf. It was very odd. It was sad to watch, really.
Low blood sugar or something.
I don't know. Maybe she was just trying to not morph back into a reptile, and it was, she was trying to stop fighting the transformation.
Also, the outer skin could be constricting her because it may have been needed to removal.
Oh, yeah. It's time to shed and get a new one.
Yeah, shed time.
Yes, all right. Hey, everybody, if you've never heard this show, you're hearing it now.
You're hearing it now.
You know what we're all about.
Lizard people.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I have.
We don't take it seriously.
That's kind of what I have directly from... wait, did I have one more thing?
Well, did you get any MH17 stuff?
Yes, I did. What do you got? I have one clip.
The clip from PBS that kind of wraps it, I think.
International prosecutors charged 4 men with murder today for blasting a Malaysian Airlines plane out of the sky over Ukraine in 2014. It happened in a region controlled by Ukrainian rebels who were backed by Russia. The attack killed all 298 people on the flight from Amsterdam. Dutch officials say the suspects probably thought it was a Ukrainian military plane, and they used a Russian missile to destroy it.
They saw to it that it was brought in the area where they were in charge, that it was brought to the launch site, and from this launch site, the MH17 was shot down, and they were responsible for this whole operation.
Russia and Ukraine forbid extradition of their citizens, but prosecutors say the suspects will be tried in absentia next March.
Now, there's a lot of weird stuff. First of all, this appears to be once again a Bellingcat analysis. It hasn't changed much, and they're taking credit for it, and they're on the team, the JIT, the Joint Investigation Team. What I keep hearing is international court and international lawyers. But I don't think this is not IPCC or not the ICC, not the International Criminal Court. This is a court in the Netherlands that is conducting this. As far as I can tell, maybe it's a division of, but it's actually the same guys or the same judge who prosecuted Geert Wilders for racism, for public racism, if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same guy who's the same judge who will be, again, this is just an indictment. This is not proof of anything. It's an official indictment. And in March, they're going to bring it before trial, which, okay, we'll see. And I was able to get at least one Dutch guy to make fun of as he was talking about how clear it is that this has got to be the Russians, man.
Prosecutors say they were commanding separatists in eastern Ukraine in 2014. Losing on the battlefield, they phoned senior military and government officials in Russia, desperate for weapons and support. The calls, intercepted by Ukrainian intelligence, are part of the evidence unveiled today, along with footage found on the internet of the missile launcher dispatched from Russia, and more.
It is forensic, that is witnesses, that is wiretap, that is data analysis, and when you go through all those layers, then at the end you can say 1 and 1 and 1 is 5.
Yeah, there you go. That's how we do it in Europe, everybody. 1 and 1 and 1 is 5.
And 1 and 1 and 1 is 5.
That's how we convict people.
It's actually 3.
That's how we convict people here. Which I'm submitting for the end of show ISO.
Well, I only have one. I would play my end of show ISO, which I pulled from Trump's hour and 19-minute speech.
Okay.
In Orlando, where he announced that he's running for president.
Winning, winning, winning.
I don't know. I think
1 and 1 and 1 is 5.
I think.
I think yours is slightly funnier.
I think I kind of got you on that one. We did have breaking news just before the show started.
The president's offering his first reaction now to the shoot-down of an American drone by the Iranians last night. The president issuing a one-sentence tweet saying Iran made a very big mistake. That coming just in the past couple of minutes. At the same time, we're getting information that there is scheduled to be a meeting here at the White House to gauge response to the Iranian shoot-down. The president's tweet, Iran made a very big mistake, of course, begging the question of what the White House and what the administration is prepared to do about it, if anything, any kind of response at all. I spoke to Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the White House press secretary, just a few minutes ago. She said the president was briefed last night and has been briefed again this morning on what the U.S. military knows about that shoot-down. So no indication at this point of what any potential U.S. response would be. But the president, I don't think you can call this saber rattling, maybe just a Twitter rattle, but issuing a one-sentence statement on Twitter here in reaction to that shoot-down, guys.
I mean, there's a reaction in the market. Crude oil is jumping on this news. WTI now up 5%.
Oh, there we go. That makes somebody happy.
Yeah.
Is this a deja vu?
The term Twitter rattling.
Yes. Is this a deja vu term or a moment for you as well? They shot down a drone. Didn't we just go through this a while ago? They shot down a drone, and then it was like, oh, and didn't they grab the drone?
Well, this was some years ago. They grabbed a drone.
It was a couple of years ago
somewhere. And
yes.
Iran, if you remember, they were parading it around. Nobody said much about it then. On shooting down the drones cost money.
On Tuesday.
Now there's also the debate whether it was over Iranian territory or not.
If you look at this,
if it wasn't over the territory, what territory would it be over?
Well,
where would it?
I dispute this international water bull crap because the Strait of Hormuz, it's like you're either UAE or you're. I mean, you got to be right in some very small piece of. What are we doing there, flying our drones? Come on.
Well, we got a drone base right there off of the.
No, Djibouti is on the other side. It's on the other side. It's on the Djibouti is. It's on the other side. Well, yeah, that's where we fly him from. But still, it's like, come on. I did get this email on Tuesday, which is anonymous. I was staying at a hotel in Cambridge, UK, on Thursday night last week. There were several pilots and co-pilots of F-15 staying there. They'd just flown over to the UK on their way to Iran, refueling in midair 4 times on the way over. The planes were being fitted out and checked before flying on, so something is probably likely to occur over there in the next few days. Now, I don't know if that's related to the drone, but I didn't know that there were F-15s flying around. And why didn't we just use whatever we have in our fleet? Don't we have a whole fleet that we sent over there with an aircraft
carrier sitting there?
So why are we sneaking in F-15s through the back door?
Maybe it's because it would be obvious when we took off from a carrier.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And the carrier is just a decoy.
So we shot down our own drone, maybe? I'm just asking.
Well,
I have no idea
that one of the F-15s took the drone out.
That was the first thing I thought of.
It's possible. We can't trust anything going on during this little moment.
No.
this is the classic false flag moment. We're just waiting for something to happen.
And so something that happened a month ago has now become the big news about, Iran, they're 10 days away from enriching uranium weapons grade, which is bull crap.
Go back to the 90s and hear the same thing.
This is such bull crap. I mean, they're at 3.6%. To be weapons grade, you got to be like 70, 80%. It takes a little bit longer, but it's always 10 days.
You have to design the bomb. They haven't designed a bomb that we know of.
Exactly. You got to put that thing on a rocket.
They're supposed to be, supposedly they're using a Pakistani North Korea design.
I have a clip.
It is a crisis.
The North Korean bombs, by the way, are very small.
This is from Channel 4 in the UK.
It is a crisis which arguably began in Washington when President Trump labelled these Iranian Revolutionary Guards as terrorists back in April and tightened sanctions on their country. Then the Americans sent an aircraft carrier group and B-52 bombers to the Gulf. They said in response to an unspecified Iranian threat. Last month, President Rouhani announced that Iran was ramping up its nuclear fuel production, reducing its compliance with the deal that President Trump walked away from a year ago. And today, the Iranians chose one of their nuclear plants as the venue to announce that their supply of uranium will breach the deal's limit in 10 days' time, in what is a desperate bid to be allowed to sell oil. So desperate that a spokesman even delivered it in English.
There will be another set of actions if, after 60 days, they will not implement their commitments. We are suspending, we are not revoking the commitments, we are not removing the commitments.
Iran's economy is being crippled by US sanctions as the Americans are threatening any company anywhere which trades with Iran. The Chinese say they will defy Washington and carry on buying oil, but the Europeans have tried and so far failed to bypass the Americans. Today they said they would keep trying amid fears the nuclear deal will collapse.
So our focus is not to enter into a blame game or giving responsibility for a collapse of a deal that might come. Our focus is to keep the agreement in place and keep the implementation of it.
Now, what I hear them saying is, hey, Europe and Russia and Czech, can you help us out? And I don't hear any strong Iran going, we don't care. We're going to build bombs. They're like, well, help us out.
There's also the element that's not explored much in these stories, which is how much oil is China buying and how are they getting it there?
And how are they paying for it?
Well, the other thing is I have to assume, and I don't want to sound like I don't know what to call myself.
Podcaster.
Podcaster. I don't have to assume I'm going to act like a podcaster here and mention that the Chinese probably aren't paying top dollar for the oil.
You mean best price.
Always looking for best price.
Best price.
And
yes,
which is probably galling to the Iranians. But the Chinese market would suck up all the Iranian oil if they could.
And that's part of what Iran was asking for is circumvent this financial block, which I don't like. I really despise that. The cutting people off of the
weaponizing SWIFT.
Yeah, thank you. Cutting people off from the payment system. It's so mean. That's war actions in my book.
Yeah, that's what happened to Alex Jones.
Wait a minute. What do you mean?
Well, they cut him off from all his outlets, and PayPal won't pick him up. I think.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
and
Alex Jones,
actually,
Iran.
No, I think PayPal still picks him up. It was Wikipedia who everybody dropped from payments. Remember?
Was it? No, it was WikiLeaks.
I'm sorry. Yes, WikiLeaks. I meant WikiLeaks.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure. InfoWars got deplatformed from payment systems too. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. Could be.
Yeah.
And then the latest, of course, is MailChimp.
Oh, yes. We can't have anything about no anti-vaxxer stuff.
The gatekeepers of society. When did this happen?
Well, yes, this is exactly what they are, gatekeepers of society. This is more of our, how we have been looking at this deplatforming, the big purge, Yeah, MailChimp, do they not have a... well, first of all, I'm sure they're used by tons of brands and commercial companies who use them to communicate with their customers, and they just don't want, any controversy connected to their name. That's what it's about. We don't want any stories about our service.
How is it connected to their name? MailChimp is not, unless you put the logo at the bottom, which you have to opt in for.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a headline here. It seems that anti-vaxxers are using email systems like MailChimp to spread their message of disinformation. The film at 11. That would be exactly why they would want to take anybody who's doing that off. I don't find that very controversial. Makes sense.
Makes sense to you.
Yes, it is quite interesting how many people are mad at me for even suggesting that this is not Silicon Valley actively trying to shut up people and censor conservative viewpoints.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think it's that as much as it is the brand safe message.
In fact, we have there's a lot going on. You
don't want to be associated with that.
Here's a little background, or not direct.
It seems to me if you're a service company, you're a service company. Does that mean that the guys who make tin cans, have to be this way too? I mean, they make tin can manufacturing products. FMC, Food Machinery Corporation, they're making a big line of candy bar makers that's going to put the whole thing, engineer a candy bar system and a candy bar factory. But the candy bars are going to be, something that's, hate Obama bar.
Well,
you can't. No, we're not selling you our equipment.
Well, luckily, not far from here, we have the Cannes Lions Festival, which I think is just close. The big parties are tomorrow night, and this is the big advertising festival. It's always on the heels of the Cannes Film Festival, and all the advertisers go there, and they all hang out and drink with potential it's really the agencies, and they go. They take the brand and the media buyers out, and they fly them around in helicopters, get them laid on stinky horrors. It's a fantastic. I've been there. It's a fantastic event, and here's just how to get you into the vibe of how the industry thinks. Here's an interview. Of course, we had CNBC, it's now Fox Business News Money Honey. Maria Bartiromo on the scene. She loves to hang out there in Cannes. And she's talking to, I think, one of the big ad buyer guys at Ogilvy, huge advertising company. Just a little bit about the industry, a little backgrounder.
Joining me right now is Ogilvy Worldwide Chief Executive John Seifert. John, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be with you.
You are also the president for the Creative Effectiveness Lions. Tell us more about that.
It's one of the toughest lions to win because you can't just be creative in your work. You have to show that the creativity actually makes a difference in the marketplace. So did you grow the client's business? Did you improve the health of the brand? So the standard of market outcomes is much higher.
When you look at the grouping of ads that we see over the...
Are you ill?
Yeah. And boy, is she giddy.
But I want everyone to listen to this because you understand how these people, and I've been a part of this industry, how they are completely just into the brand. And it's the brand, and the brand lives, and the brand speaks, and the brand listens, and people connect to the brand. This is why things have to be brand safe.
Last year, what are some of those that really stand out?
Well, I think any brand that gets part of the social conversation. So a lot of the
please pay attention to social conversation.
The submissions I've seen so far in the jury is the impact it created through cultural conversation. Did we get attention? Did people want to talk about us? Did they want to share what they learned from that brand with friends and family? And did it sort of strike a chord more broadly in culture? Those are the ones that are really getting the most attention.
So and those really resonate because it's about issues that we're all talking about.
Exactly. It's all part of the mashup of kind of everyday life, from what I consume to what my politics are to how I feel about the world in general. It's all kind of coming together.
You know, increasingly, as I'm speaking to chief marketing officers this week, I'm finding that it doesn't matter if you're the most successful brand or an emerging brand. Everybody's dealing with the same issues. And one of those issues is attracting young people, attracting women. How do you do it?
Well, every brand today is trying to be relevant and authentic to who they are. So having a strong point of view, because it's not just about selling something that's a better product. A lot of these audiences want to know what you think, what you care about.
It's not a better product
in the world. Why should you matter to them? And then how do they matter to you? So every brand is trying to think through how to be more relevant and authentic in how it engages its audience.
Which is why somebody like, for example, the NFL is using their players to talk to, resonate with viewers, because viewers don't necessarily react to logos, but they react to people.
Well, the one thing we've said over and over is you can't fake it anymore. If it's not true on the inside, no one's going to believe it's true on the outside.
I totally
agree. So getting back to your product, and in the NFL's case, that would be the people playing the game.
It's authenticity.
Exactly.
I know it was painful. I know it was painful to listen to, but
this is the biggest load of crap. Probably one of the greatest clips you've ever played. You should put that aside. I'd give you a clip of the day, but it makes me so sick I'm not giving it to you.
This shows you how insane people are about the brand and why they don't want, even MailChimp is a brand. There's a stupid chimp with an envelope and a little mailman hat. Yeah, people don't want their brand associated with anything inauthentic. That's not exactly, it's authenticity that it's all about. And so that's why here at the Cannes Lion Festival, the big advertisers and social media have formed the alliance they wanted to fight unsafe content online. Yes, Procter & Gamble, Facebook are now addressing hate speech and other problems together. And this is, let me see, it's the name of this thing is, hold on, I have the actual name of this. What is this thing called? This alliance. The Global Alliance for Responsible Media. And in this participating Procter & Gamble, General Mills, Diageo, MasterCard, Facebook, Twitter, Alphabet, Omnicom, WPP. You've got all the big ones there right there. You don't need anything else. And what they want to do is they want to have all these rules and want everyone to understand what is necessary for advertising to take place on the Silicon Valley social companies and on YouTube. Digital advertising will make up more than half of global ad sales for the first time this year, according to the latest forecast by Magna Global, part of Interpublic. But social media platforms have been tarred by repeated revelations that they are hosting political disinformation and malicious content. In one of the most recent examples, AT&T, Clorox, Nestle, McDonald's, and Fortnite publisher Epic Games paused or halted their YouTube advertising following reports viewers were making inappropriate comments on videos of young girls. YouTube later suspended comments on most videos that feature minors. So they're fighting.
I do her. Those guys. Those guys.
So they are fighting. And it is a full-on war between established companies maybe even who are just trying to compete. For instance, Vox Media, which is arguably a mainstream company with their NBC investment of $250 million.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm not a big fan of Nilay Patel. I always thought he's kind of swarmy. Isn't he the boss over at The Verge? Isn't he the editor-in-chief or something?
One of the editors, yeah.
Which is a Vox Media property. I got to give him big props for really taking it to Facebook and just spewing in their face, in their eyes, with this recent revelation. They got 3 of the content moderators who work for Cognizant, which is a company we've talked about many times. We've had many reports of people, looking through through what people are asking Google to do, but also pure content moderation of uploads to YouTube, and in this case to Facebook. And not only did they publish quite a great expose of what really goes on, and there's always this oh, these poor people, their mental health. But screw that. This is a direct hit job on Facebook. And I pulled a couple of quotes from a YouTube, funny enough, a YouTube interview that has been published, which I actually was hard to find again this morning when I was trying to pull the clip from it. And you'll understand, taking the authenticity and everything, that's the brand. You'll understand why there's a problem when this is out there and this is what you're dealing with.
Content moderation is a really difficult job. You have to take Facebook's policies, which can change every day, and then apply them to decide what stays up on Facebook and Instagram and what comes down. A couple of months ago, I was contacted by some moderators who worked for Facebook in Tampa, Florida, through a company called Cognizant, and they told me that they wanted to go on the record. So they told you, we're going to put you in a queue of content that is dedicated to graphic violence and hate speech.
Yes, you would get the occasional random thing, but for the most part, it was always graphic violence and hate speech because that's all that was coming in for us.
What were like some of the kinds of things that you would see that would be really hard for you?
Where do I start? Animals, mostly animals, the abuse of animals. I've seen them had a puppy with a rope hanging it, and I've seen a pit of pigs, and they threw fire, and you can hear the pigs screaming. I don't want to get emotional talking about the animals.
There was one where there was a baby there were twin babies from like Saudi Arabia, and the mother was dropping the baby on the ground. This is one we saw over and over again, and then choked the baby, and you hear the baby gurgling and trying to breathe. And for days, it infected my mind. I had to know what happened to this baby because I'd seen it over and over and over again. And luckily, the baby was okay.
I just think about all the animals all the time. And that's what I'm still thinking about, even though I left.
Yeah. Do you remember the first video that you saw?
It was a video in a different language, and it was these two teenagers, and they came across an iguana on the street. And one of the kids grabbed the iguana by the tail, and they started to smash the iguana onto the ground. And you could just hear the iguana screaming. And that was one of the first videos I saw in that queue.
Yeah.
And they kept slamming the iguana onto the ground, and the iguana just kept screaming and screaming, and then screaming stopped, and it was just a bloody pile, and the kids were just laughing at the iguana.
Were you able to remove that video from Facebook?
No, since that video had no title and no caption, we were supposed to send it to a different queue for Spanish speaking. But I don't think there really was a Spanish-speaking queue that was taking care of that.
So this whole piece in the video, which is 15 minutes long, is reiterating that Facebook has, you keep hearing, it came back, and there it was again, and it was re-uploaded, and we couldn't delete it, and we didn't know how to delete it, and the rules say don't delete it. And if you want to get any group of people riled up against a company, make sure it's cruelty to animals. People who gives a shit, choked a baby. What? You killed an iguana? People are going to lose their crap over this. Well done. Well done, Vox Media. Very, very good. No one will have to do anything. You won't have to have all these rules in Congress, which there's now legislation. You hear about the legislation they're proposing?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of virtual signaling by the Democrats. They're pulling a lot of stunts at the moment.
Yeah.
Reparations.
We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. This is the Hawley bill, and
where's Smoot?
Who?
Never mind. A few people out there will get that joke. Go on.
So the Hawley bill essentially would have the government appoint people who determine what is and is not allowed when it comes to moderation and or algorithms that might be performing editorial tasks. And of course, this will only apply to social or companies that have 30 million active users a month, or at least 500 million in revenue every month. So it's really targeted at Silicon Valley. He's like,
so we're safe. It's
no, we're way safe. Oh, yeah, totally. Well, no agenda. So this is the next thing. I'll just touch on this briefly. So I truly believe that we can just let it. You don't need to regulate. This is all going to take care of itself because advertisers, the more of these stories there are, and there's plenty of incentive for mainstream in particular, print and television and, mainstream guys to keep pointing out how evil these companies are and how they can't handle AI. They can't do it. And that's finally people are starting to figure that out, that artificial intelligence can't weed this stuff out. And so they're going to keep shutting down all of their properties, just like MailChimp, take off anyone who might be talking about vaccines being unsafe, get rid of everything until you basically have an AOL. You're going to have an AOL situation with YouTube where people, or even Twitter may be a better example, where you're just in this box of safeness. And people will keep telling you about, hey, there's this Mastodon, there's this Federation thing over here. You should check this out. Oh, no, I want to stay here. That was just like America Online. Everyone says, hey, can we get a browser to the internet? No. You can just use your keywords. You can do all the content you want here. It's okay. It's all safe. And then they opened it up a little bit and gave you a crappy-ass browser, and people were like, oh, my God, this is great. This is scary. This is all the cool stuff. People gravitate towards that. They're not going to want to stay in these complete brand-safe environments. It's boring. So and I'm just making a prediction. Gab.com is on July 4th, they will become a part of the Federation. And already we're seeing, I'm getting emails now. Hey, are you moderating noagendasocial.com? Are you the moderator of this? Yeah. Well, you need to block Gab in advance, man. We can't have that on the we can't have that in the Federation. Where's like
block Gab in advance?
It's the stupidest thing. It's like people. So they left Twitter and Facebook because they felt it was no fun, and and there were too many Nazis. I don't know what it was. And now they're going to their little safe spaces and blocking everything. You need controversy. You see, this is what people don't get. What is it about just Twitter as an example? You need the controversy you need the drugs added in, the hits, like the dopamine hit. Like, oh, I got a like on me saying that someone's a shithead. Oh, I got more followers because, people listen to me because I talk smack about them. And the drug element is what will keep people going. But if you remove the controversy, it's not going to be interesting. So federate or die is my message. That's what it's going to be.
That's cute.
Here's Tim Cook doing the commencement speech at Stanford, virtue signaling. Meanwhile, he hasn't created, but his company is in charge of one of the biggest components of evil that exists today among social networking.
From the first oscillator built in the Hewlett-Packard garage to the iPhones that I know you're holding in your hands. Social media, shareable videos, snaps and stories that connect half the people on Earth. They all trace their roots to Stanford's backyard. But lately, it seems, this industry is becoming better known for a less noble innovation. The belief that you can claim credit without accepting responsibility. We see it every day now, with every data breach, every privacy violation, every blind eye turned to hate speech. Fake news poisoning our national conversation. The false miracles in exchange for a single drop of your blood. Too many seem to think that good intentions excuse away harmful outcomes. But whether you like it or not, what you build and what you create define who you are. It feels a bit crazy that anyone should have to say this. But if you've built a chaos factory, you can't dodge responsibility for the chaos. Taking responsibility means having the courage to think things through.
Yeah, well, big talk, Tom Collins.
What is it? When did he become a philosopher?
Oh, please. That's all he does. It's big talk for a company that created the box that the Rage Factory lives in, the chaos machine. It's, all right, why don't you block all access to external APIs and ways for people to spy on you using all the little bits and bobs inside the iPhone. It's really disingenuous what he's doing there. Just and get this. Gab submitted a version of the browser that I've been using on the desktop, which is fantastic. Has all the elements of Brave that I wanted, all the blocking and getting rid of tracking and, little VPN action there that sends tracking URLs to the Bitbucket without all the overhead of the crypto and all the stuff they're trying to make money with. They've created a version of that for iOS, and it was rejected for questionable content. It's a browser. It's a browser. Now, I think that they may not be telling the whole truth. I think there may be something else going on because their developer account was they were locked out of their developer account, and I don't know what else is going on. But without a doubt, it's virtue signaling. We don't want anything with Brave on our devices, and really all these. Go ahead.
There's also the fact, and I kind of hinted at it, that the Descent browser, which is what you're talking about, allows for independent threads outside of the normal back and forth that you have in comment sections.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's in some instances I've run into these threads of comments from the Descent browser infrastructure are bigger.
Yes, there you go.
Than the comments that exist within the normal system. It's really kind of subversive.
It's a great idea that they came up with. It's like enable anyone to start a conversation thread around any URL, any website, any video, anything. And I think that's probably a bigger issue. It's like, oh, crap. It's like they're taking away our audience. They're siphoning that off. They're not using our systems. And, they say that the dissenter Gab guys say that they sent it to Department of Justice. It probably antitrust probably should have gone to the Trade Administration, I think. FTC, yeah, Commission. But it's noticeable what's going on. It truly is. And so I think let everyone run around, do all their stuff. It could be 5 months, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. But eventually, everything just has to be decentralized. There's no other way about it. And the advertising model, yeah, it'll last for a long time, but it's not a growth industry. It's not going to work because you cannot monetize the network in any fashion, not even with ads at scale, because we got killing animals, racist. Rah. It never ends. So good luck to him. Good luck to him.
Well, I've joined. I was a member of Gab.
You must be a Nazi.
What?
You must be a Nazi.
I've gone on there, and it seems like Twitter to me. I don't know. What am I thinking? It looks like Twitter, feels like Twitter, looks like Twitter.
Here's what's interesting. As everything moves towards a federated model, it will. I think Twitter eventually, you'll also be able to follow someone on Twitter from No Agenda Social or Gab.com, whatever. That's. I think Dorsey actually has kind of hinted that he sees that happening. But when people who are running, so Mastodon.social is a very big node on the federated network, and we've been domain blocked because we were branded quite early because of one or two people who engaged in something with some social justice warrior. Then all of a sudden we're on a block list, and people don't see the irony of saying we have blocked this entire domain, this entire group of people because they're bigots and xenophobes. Is not blocking a whole group of people based on the action of one the definition of bigotry?
And xenophobia, too.
Thank you. They don't see this irony.
Of course not.
Well,
It's for the better good.
I am so proud of our Value for Value network and the way we've done this, and that we've been doing it for 11 years. I'm very proud of that. In fact, I'm so proud that I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the Cannes Lions Festival, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, ship sea boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs to our dames and nights out there.
In the morning to our trolls at the Troll Room. They are at noagendastream.com, and they've been all over everything today, all over the map. But you can join there anytime. There's great shows to listen to. Of course, the No Agenda Show live twice a week on Thursdays. And but there's many other great shows to listen to and participate in the Troll Room. You can sit there and you can say something nice or troll or do whatever you want or just be completely passive. It is where we all meet, noagendastream.com. Also, a big in the morning to Cesium 137. He brought us the artwork for episode 1147. The title of that episode was Otard. And we did go back and forth a few times about what we wanted to use. This was the I Heart Dad blackboard kind of for Father's Day, which we're basically suckers for the traditional artwork for a Mother's Day, a Father's Day, a Christmas, maybe Valentine's Day. We argued about the artwork. Let me see what else was.
Well, let's see what we got here. Yes, we did, and then we should probably mention the ones we rejected. The funniest one, of course, was
the OJ glove cast?
Glove cast by Mike Riley, especially one with the blood all over it. But we felt that for Father's Day, this might not be the most appropriate artwork.
I mean, can you believe it? We didn't want to be deplatformed from ourselves.
We deplatformed. But I think that was the best piece.
Yeah. It was very
even
funny.
Though it didn't get picked. Yeah. The other pieces were dubious. It was a good Father's Day by there's some other Father's Day one, but none of them was quite as jazzy.
Yeah, it was a strong piece.
Cesium 137, which is very professional looking, kind of a gimmicky thing.
Yeah. So we appreciate what Cesium did there, and that is. I just got a note from someone this morning who said, "Hey, I keep hearing he's doing a project for. It's like maybe he didn't specify some customer, and they're doing podcasts." And I've sold them on the idea that having art change with each episode is very good. I said, yes. He says, yeah, this is no one's doing that. I look genius by even proposing that. How do you do it? So I explained to him what to do, where to change. It's part of the actual specification.
It takes about 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Then the app's kind of figured out.
It starts spontaneously by two guys.
Yeah. There you go.
Who just seemed to do all the artwork in the early days, and then they disappeared. And now we're up to, we must have 11 years. We have, I can tell you how many images we have. Now, of course, we haven't used all these images, and many are completely inappropriate. No, but a lot of them get used as evergreens. They get used in the newsletter. Some of them get used.
Yeah, as of this measurement.
More than you'd think, actually.
As of this measurement, 13,580 pieces of artwork in an 11-year period. That is not bad.
Yeah.
That's 10 times the amount of shows.
Yeah.
So, hallelujah. Anyway, as a part of our deplatform immunity, we don't have advertisers. We chose this very early on, and we said to people, hey, you want us to do this? We got to get paid somehow, and we came up with this model where you send us the value that you feel you received out of listening to the program. And it turns out a lot of people get value, and they like to thank us for it, and we like to thank them by reading their donations on the air. We like to start early in the show, just like Hollywood, oddly enough, with our executive producers and associate executive producers.
The only notes that we are obliged to read by rule are those of the executive producers.
Correct.
And people will continue to send. In the olden days, when we started, we read everything.
Yeah, we didn't have that many donations.
No, we got donations, and we got enough that was. But it became that we started getting more donations, that we said that do a cutoff. So we started reading all the notes above $50.
Yeah, and then people started sending big long notes.
We ended up with at least 2 copies of War and Peace. by a couple of the guys sending in $51.
We got to update. We have to update that from not War and Peace, but it has to be the entire Lord of the Rings series or something. We have to do a little hipper than War and Peace, or Game of Thrones, all 3 books.
Jeez. Anyway, so we had these people writing these long tomes, and it was taking up the show. The show, half the show was
thank yous,
reading these long notes for people who donate $50. So that's when we cut off the $50 notes, and you get mentioned, and we will read occasional notes from between 50 and 200, but 200 and up. The notes we feel obliged to read them. We read them in their entirety, and some of them are quite long, and we don't, we more or less appreciate the shorter notes. And so, because some people seem to have lost that memo, and they're writing notes as they're asking for jingle requests.
Well, they're also very happy. Many of them, when they achieve a knighthood or another status,
well, we don't have a problem.
People just forget, so it's good to remind them that there is show to be done. So try and keep.
We have a show to do, and so we do it this way. We still get a lot of people get mentioned. A lot of people get their notes read, and sometimes more than others. We do have 2 executive producers and 2 associate executive producers for today's show.
Oh, we have gender balance.
Nice. It's a nice balance. We start off with Anonymous, $500. Gentlemen, your work is greatly appreciated. If you want to credit my knightly name, Sir Thurblig. Feel free. But don't mention my real name. Perhaps I will be in town for the Atlanta meetup. Keep up the great analysis. Did we read this note last time? He's followed by no jingles, no nothing.
All right.
That's followed by Colin Preston in Oregon City, Oregon, who sent a check in and a written note.
Oh, we finally got a check again.
Yeah, we finally got some checks.
Oh, good. Do you think there was some kind of
done something?
Do you think there was some kind of blockage in the system, or?
I find it to be peculiar. I don't know what it was.
Well, you know what Comic Strip Blogger says? He says donations are down because you blocked him on Twitter. He did a whole comic strip about it.
He did?
He did a cartoon, yeah.
Oh, I got to see it.
Yeah.
I've been listening. I'm sure it's very flattering
to
me.
Yeah. Oh, to me too, believe me.
I've been listening, and he wonders why he gets blocked. I've been listening since episode 1089, 33 times 33. Did we miss that when it happened? 33 times 33 was 1089? I believe so.
I'm sure we did.
Your media deconstruction is fantastic and elevates my critical thinking skills. You have since become my primary source of news. We love hearing that, by the way.
It's good for your sanity, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's good for the amygdala.
There's not much important stuff that you would hear otherwise.
Adam,
yes.
Your idea to lease the naming rights of your studio is a moneymaker, but the terms need to be defined. Would it be per show, per week, per month, highest bidder, nights and dames only? Would multiple sponsors be allowed per show? I am a small business owner and interested in this prospect, as I would rather give my advertising dollars to you guys than to some corporate firm.
I have one. If we did naming rights of the studio, it would have to be on a monthly basis. Otherwise, it's just stupid. It's just,
yes.
Yeah. 2, I'm a little concerned that he used the A word there. I don't want to be advertising. I'm a little concerned about that. I want people to support the show because they like the work and not because it's an ad.
Well, it definitely needs more discussion. John, he writes, the white stuff that oozes out of salmon during cooking has to do with the temperature at which the salmon is cooked. It is harmless, unappetizing looking coagulated protein, and it only happens if you cook the salmon too hot.
Oh.
Try cooking it at 225 to 250 Fahrenheit instead of the usual 350.
Well, doesn't the ooze come out slower?
Avoid the farm-raised salmon, though. It's not healthy.
I think the ooze just comes out slower if you cook it at 225.
I've had moments where it doesn't come out. Please plug my business, practicalfusion.com. As we go on.
Woohoo! Thank you. I know you just did that for me. I appreciate it. Good one.
Practicalfusion.com. www.practicalfusions makes sense. For an American-made stainless steel tank ranging in size from 200 gallons to 2,000 gallons, all made here in Portland, Oregon. If possible, I'll claim the naming rights to Adam's studio for this episode. Please send an F Cancer jingle to my smoking hot wife for her everyone out there who needs it.
Okay.
Thank you for your courage. Keep up the great work. Sincerely, Colin. Oregon City.
Thank you, Colin, for reminding us we need to think about the naming rights, but there is some apprehension. Here is the requested and always effective.
You've got karma.
Always gets people focusing their energy on effing the cancer.
Sheila Demordoran.
Oh, Demordoran.
Damodoran.
Demordoran. This is a famous family, no?
Is it?
Yes. I believe so.
Look it up.
I believe
23456 Associate Executive Producer. Forgive me, Podfathers. It's been many months since my last donation, but this one will take me over to damehood. However, please note that I had 2 PayPal accounts and deleted one of them, so my accounting is not great, but it's below in any case. Just to recap, I did 13 miles. Okay, she tells some numbers here. I would like to be titled Dame Sheila, the Lady of Lisbon.
Oh, Lisboa. All right.
Lisboa. The synchronicity of Adam coming to Portugal and a donation from Coimbra on the last show meant I knew it was time to donate again. I stopped for a while as the synchronicity of Adam coming. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I jumped lines. I stopped for a while, and me and my husband have spent the last year building a house in Spain, Asturias to be exact, in the far northwest, which is just the opposite of the country where you are. We've been living in Hong Kong for many years and knew we couldn't manage the project from there, so we moved to Lisbon rather than to be a tax resident in Spain. After many years without paying taxes, legally I might add, we weren't ready to submit to Gitmo Nation Euroland just yet, so we took advantage of the Portuguese NHR scheme, non-habitual residents.
Yeah.
You can consult the Book of Knowledge if you're interested.
I actually got this. Steck sent it to me. It's very similar to the U.S. If you buy a house of at least $500,000, or if you invest in a second home that you'll rent out for $350,000, or if you invest $1 million in a company with at least 10 employees, then you can come in and you're good to go.
Nice.
Yeah, it is pretty nice.
It's very controversial in the United States because apparently a lot of Arabs and other people are just buying, building stuff in New York and kind of
the word
around like they own the place.
The word here is it's the French. The French are coming all over, coming into Portugal and building and buying everywhere. It used to be the Brits, now it's the French.
Huh.
Interesting.
Well, the price of the value of the pound is not making it
easy.
Amenable.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting ride. My Spanish ain't great. My husband's is non-existent. So Google Translate and some helpful neighbors have really been. How about getting that little stupid device? Speak into this, please. Have really been our friend. It says our neighbors have been our friends, but luckily they're very friendly. And Portugal is one of the great countries of They socialize a lot. They love it.
Yeah.
But luckily the house has turned out okay. There's a pic below. I didn't see that. We're planning to use it when we can and rent it when we're not. Mm-hmm. Adam, your note about Portugal made me laugh. It really is the back end of Europe perched on the edge of the Atlantic and feeling in many ways like time has stopped. Although the influx of foreign money from various visas, apparently it really looked like time was stopped years ago, which you're not witnessing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Lisbon, probably blah, blah, blah. We got to know the city quite well, and some parts of it really in a time warp, but as a soft landing back into Europe after many years away, it's been kind. The people are friendly. The younger ones speak excellent English. This is true. As John says, the wine is good, cheap, and plentiful. It's sunny a lot, although gray and rainy today. And it's a day drive to our house, which has worked out well for us, although I really miss good Asian food. Yes. Well, you can cook it yourself. You can.
You know what this is? This is here. We had some good meals. And by the way, everything soon to be Dame Sheila said. And let me add wine in a tube. That makes Portugal really. Wine in a tube makes Portugal fantastic.
Is
Octopus.
there any other Portugal listeners out there? I'd love to arrange a meetup. I really enjoy hearing all about it. We do have about 2 or 3.
No, we have a couple. They've all emailed me. In fact, I think we've gotten some special treatment at the hotel thanks to some back channeling of one of our producers.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, very nice. Very, very nice.
Portugal's amenable to that.
Yeah, they are.
I really enjoy hearing about all the other meetups, and I'm very jealous. Should I just go ahead and list one? It would be so great. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
just
of
go ahead and
course.
list one. It'd be so great to meet some other like-minded people here. And no jingles for me, but can I have some home rental and business karma so we can continue living the dream? Thank you both for keeping on. Your show is a rare moment of sanity in a world that gets crazier by the day.
Thank you very much, Sheila. And I look forward to seeing you at the round table later on. Here's your karma as requested.
You've got karma.
By the way, octopus. The octopus in Portugal is great. I've never really been an octopus guy, and I'll just kind of the look of it. But I've had it twice now since we've been here. And with this, they have the purple sweet potato. Phew, it's that they kind of make into a puree, and then they've got it's dynamite.
The food in Portugal is fantastic. Make sure you get some linguiça.
Linguiça? Okay.
They're standard. Oh, actually, you could smuggle back some of they have these sausages. Somebody's got to tell you about these. There's a couple of sausages that are like they're not salami because they're seasoned totally alien, but they're fabulous. And they a lot of times you can use some of these sausages and salamis. You just cut a little piece off and put it in something, and then it seasons the whole dish. It's pretty amazing.
One of our producers said, "Hey, sent me an email. I replied and copied you, which is why I'm going to tell you about it because you never read my email." And he said, "I'm working. I started working on a No Agenda best of, so you guys could take a show off." And he wants to do.
It was from Chris.
No. Chris is separate. Chris needs people to send him your favorite bits. That's something different. Chris is going to come up with. I know what Chris is doing. Something just an outrageous best of. Sir Chris Wilson, you can find him.
Yeah, it'd be a whole show.
Oh yeah, but this producer wanted to do a best of just of food and wine conversations, and I like the idea, but I don't know if it's a whole best of show.
I don't think you can get an hour out of it.
He says he can get 2 hours out of it.
Well, it's possible.
But will that be interesting for everybody?
It'll be interesting to some. Some people really, I think it's really a minority of the listeners who care.
Mm-hmm.
But
maybe do 1 hour and then we could package it with something
use
else.
It like a filler.
But in the meantime, I'm on my honeymoon. We're doing a live show. That's what we like doing most. So onward with more thanks.
Anyway, yeah, Portugal is fantastic. The wine is great, and you'll have a good time.
And wine in a
people
tube.
Are friendly, and it's photogenic. That's the thing I like about it the most. I should talk about just for a second. I have always had. I like to take photos, and I take a lot of them. And there are some places that are photogenic just naturally. You can just hold the camera up and shoot, and you got something. You have something you could blow up to 5 feet by 6 feet, and it's just dynamite. In fact, I have one I'm going to frame shortly. And then there's other places that you'd think are photogenic, and it's just impossible to squeeze shots out of them. And
it's something about the earth and the light, I think. The actual quality of the dirt. There's something about. I totally agree with what you're saying.
Well, the one place that has always gotten the best of me is New Orleans. I cannot get shots there that are worth a shit. And I've decided that my best bet, and I actually got some good shots doing this, just shooting doorways. Doorway, and you end up with a nice collection of pictures. But generally speaking, and that took me years to figure out. New Orleans is rough.
Why?
I mean, I'd love to get together with a professional photographer who's actually can shoot New Orleans and make pretty pictures, because I've never been able to do it. And I'm reminded of a story. And this is the story of Marla Maples. I've told it on the show before. And it has to do with photo.
Marla Maples was a previous girlfriend.
Trump's second wife.
Did he married her, right? Yeah. Trump's second wife, yes.
Yeah. So I met Marla Maples, and she is one of the most beautiful women you'll ever see. And I realized that she was so outrageously beautiful that I've never seen a picture of her that made her look as beautiful as she actually is in person.
So you said, aha, I have a quest.
Well, I didn't have a quest. She's not going to let me shoot her. But I was having my photo taken by some photographer in New York for some magazine. And it's somehow in the conversation, because he did art too, art pictures. And it's a side story there. But I mentioned Marla Maples. I said, the funny thing about her, she's really so much prettier than any picture I've ever seen of her. And guy goes nuts. He says, you're right. He says, I was given the assignment to shoot pictures of her, and I spent days trying to capture this phenomenon, and I couldn't do it.
Huh.
So there's a mystery to photography. Then it's right. Marla Maples is like a nexus.
You should have just lowered your f-stop. It would have been fine.
Yeah. Next on the list. Sorry, I can get carried away with these stories.
I love that story. It's a good story.
23456 from Sir Otaku, Baron of Northeast Texas in the Red River Valley. Wanted to show a little support for the best podcast in the universe. Can I get some JCD mac and cheese karma with the little girl? Yay. I've got back-to-back BBQ competitions this weekend, and I need all the karma I can get. Woo, a competitive cooker. I like that. 73 is K5VZ. Sir Otaku.
Let me just see. We got the mac and cheese. I want to make sure I get the right one. Is this the one that he wants? Let me see.
So fight for the.
No, that's not it. This is odd. Like I could do this a million times, and now I gotta pull up mac and cheese, and it's maybe it's JCD Mac. What's going on with this? I feel pretty stupid.
Well,
I really do. Hold on a second. Mac and cheese. Is this the one? Yes.
You slaves can get used to mac and cheese. Cheap macaroni and cheap cheddar melted together.
Mac and cheese.
There we go.
You've got karma.
I knew I had it in me.
You did. And last on our list is, if I can find my arrow on the screen. Hello, arrow. I'm always worried about that. Is Michael Riniker, $200.33 says, it turns out we had 3 associate executive producers. And there's no note from him on here, and I don't have any email from him. Maybe you do.
I don't. I checked.
I sure don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's got the 33 at the end there, so that's always good news. Means he's not a first-time donor, more than likely. But
we'll give him some gratuitous karma.
Yeah, with a goat.
You've got karma.
Yeah. And that is our group of executive producers, associate executive producers for show 1148.
Yes, thank you in both levels, associates and the executive producers. These are credits that you can use anywhere. Credits are accepted. They're valuable because, hey, let's face it, executive producer, that says something. They are just like any other producer credit in Hollywood, and you can even show a receipt that you are a real producer, unlike a lot of the phonies. And if anyone ever questions you or challenges you, we'll be happy to back you up. And you can do it again. You can support the show for Sunday. I'll be back in Austin, Texas. And please visit our handy website to see how you can support the program.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Without a doubt, you've learned a lot today. You've learned about wine in a tube.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Winning.
Shut up, slave.
Also want to get a make good to Andy Cantrell, who wasn't called out on a $53 a night.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Wasn't called out on a donation a couple shows ago. So we have a person, everyone's all in for this woman named Caban, I think. She is running for district attorney of Queens.
Okay.
She is of the same ilk as a number of district attorneys around the country that have infiltrated cities
that hate Trump. Is that?
They all hate Trump, but they don't believe in small petty crimes being enforced.
Yes, like Austin.
And, poop on the street is coming. for sure. But let's listen to this woman. This is Caban One Democracy Now!
Now another young Queens candidate is trying to pull off a historic upset. Tiffany Caban, a 31-year-old queer Latina public defender, is running for district attorney in Queens. She's running to end cash bails, to stop prosecuting low-level offenses, to decriminalize sex work, and to go after bad landlords, cops, and immigration customs enforcement. Her election would mark a major shift in the Queens criminal justice system and yet again set an example for the country. To win, Caban will have to beat out a crowded field of 7 candidates who are all claiming they'll reform the system, including Queens Borough President Melinda Katz, who is backed by the Queens Democratic Party establishment. This is Tiffany Caban's campaign ad.
If you have money, if you know how to game the system, you can do whatever you want in this city. If you're a person of color, you're poor, you're an immigrant, no one's on your side. My family is from Puerto Rico, and my parents worked hard to make ends meet. But no matter how hard they worked, the system cared more about protecting the wealthy. I'm a queer Latina from a working class family. People like us are exactly who the system is trying to keep down. That's why I became a public defender, to defend my community. I've defended over 1,000 clients who couldn't afford to defend themselves, who were thrown on Rikers because they didn't have money for bail, they jumped a turnstile, they struggled with mental health or substance use disorder. I'm running for district attorney of Queens to bring justice to working people, to stop criminalizing poverty, to reduce recidivism, to decriminalize sex work, to end cash bail. But the corrupt Queens political machine doesn't want me to win because they get rich off of foreclosures. They've taken millions from developers, and I can't be bought and controlled.
Since announcing her campaign in January, Tiffany Caban has gone from long shot outsider to key contender in a race that's garnered national attention. Progressive district attorneys Larry Krasner of Philadelphia and Rachel Rollins of Boston have endorsed Caban. The New York Times just endorsed her, writing, "The success of any prosecutor and of the city itself depends on keeping people safe. Ms. Caban is the Democrat best poised to become one of a growing number of prosecutors to show that can be done without infringing on civil liberties, criminalizing Black and Hispanic Americans, and mistaking punishment for the only form of justice," the Times wrote.
A question. Now, is she already district attorney? Or is she
No, she's
in the
a public
running?
defender.
But she wants to be district attorney.
Yeah, she's running for it. The district attorney dropped dead, I guess, recently.
Does she have a serious contender?
She's one of the top contenders. Yeah, she has a shot. This Melinda Katz woman is better known, and she's got a better pitch. I think she's going to win, but this possibility does exist that this woman can do it. But I want you to play just the last 5 seconds of that, which is this crazy things that Amy said at the end of that, the very end. And tell me, listen to it carefully and tell me what it means.
Writing, "The success of any prosecutor and of the city itself depends on keeping people safe. Ms. Caban is the Democrat best poised to become one of a growing number of prosecutors to show that can be done without infringing on civil liberties, criminalizing Black and Hispanic Americans, and mistaking punishment for the only form of justice," the Times wrote.
Mistaking punishment
is
for
the
the only form of justice? What does that mean?
Well, I can explain it. If you commit a crime that is a low-level offense, such as stealing something from a store, which you have to do because you need to eat, then you get
breaking a car window in San Francisco.
Yes, you get a participation trophy.
Oh, okay.
This is part of the poor people. Oh, you see, I believe that a lot of these people with these ideas, I don't know if they understand exactly that Armageddon is upon us and people fall off the edge of the money train, or the conveyor belt, and that's the ones that that are left to just poop on the street. And so their ideas, instead of fixing that, the idea is, well, they have to steal to eat. Well, they have to do sex work, to eat. It's compassion. It's compassion.
Meanwhile, she had a tendency to do something that kind of bothered me when she was in a back and forth. She was on the show. And so here's Amy asking her a question.
Ocasio-Cortez. You've said she's inspired you to run, coming from the same borough, and of course the powerhouse that she has become. And, you said you thought of yourself proudly as a public defender, crossing over, becoming the chief prosecutor, the district attorney. What made you decide you could do that? And what does it mean without the managerial experience that someone like Melinda Katz has?
Sure.
I was wondering where that was going. Good one. You got me.
Sure.
Good one. Sure. Well, once we're back, and now we've moved our house. We moved to a new house. We're married. We've had the wedding. We've had the honeymoon. Now I can get serious about getting involved in what's going on in Austin. I've got to make my voice heard. This is they're going.
Yes, you're the landed gentry. You have property.
I do
rights.
I have a stake in the game.
You have a stake in the game.
I do. I got a stake in the game. I got a dog in the hunt, and I'm very curious. I'm going to be a troublemaker. It's like, what's going on?
You should talk to Mimi.
Oh my God,
she's the local troublemaker.
She
in Port
is.
Angeles.
She's
really good at it.
She is the mold for troublemaking. Okay. I will. That's a good tip. And the guy who wants to build the dome, I think he's another good person to talk to. He has good ideas.
Dome.
Build a dome around Austin and give all the cops flamethrowers. I love that idea. All right. Okay. Let me see. There's a number of things we can do, a number of places we can go, but I'd like to talk about these reparations because
I have a roundup clip from PBS.
Okay, is it a backgrounder? Does it explain what's going on here?
A little bit. I don't think it's as good as if you have a real good backgrounder. It might be better.
And I don't really have a backgrounder, but I can state this, that what we saw on C-SPAN, which happened on the Hill, was a resurrection of a rather old bill, House Resolution 40, by was it Conyers, I think, who initially introduced it years ago in 2013, maybe even. And it is a resolution that says if we agree on this, then we all agree that we'll put a panel together and a steering committee, and that panel and steering committee, they'll then go see how we do reparations, and maybe
exact same thing.
Maybe just for people who do not live in the United States of slavery, an explanation of what reparations are, John, from your historical perspective.
The idea is that, and reparations is not a new idea for anything, but the idea is that this people that were enslaved against their will need to be compensated in absentia, meaning that the current black community would get the money for the inconvenience of being slaved out.
Let's be honest, it was an inconvenience.
So very much of an inconvenience, and it was not much fun.
No, it wasn't.
Now, of course, it doesn't account for the white slaves. The first group of slaves, a lot of them were white, and there's all kinds of other kinds of issues that take place.
Well,
there's a lot of people. What happens to people who showed up in the country like after 1900?
Right. We're also talking about the DOS database, the Descendant of Slaves. So there's a database that you can sign up to, I guess. Okay, so this is your...
I want to stop here and mention that this is not, to me, the Believe movement and some of these other people, Candace Owens and some of these others, are shaking up, not to any real extreme, but enough so the black community is getting a little out of line here. And so we have to virtue signal and promise them that we're going to do something about this reparations. There's free money if you just stay in the Democrat Party. So let's have the hearings while the House is run by the Democrats, and we're going to mention to everyone, you black community out there who always vote for us Democrats.
Do the tube, Don. Do the tube. Where's your tube? Come on, man. Talk to him to the tube.
Dear black community, pay attention. We will give you money if you stay with the Democrat Party. We have done nothing for you so far, but pay attention, watch us.
Congress has held its first hearing on reparations for slavery in more than a decade. At issue is a proposal for a bipartisan commission to study the question and make recommendations. The House Judiciary Committee heard today from witnesses ranging from actor Danny Glover to Senator Cory Booker, who's a Democratic presidential candidate. Author Ta-Nehisi Coates argued the legacy of slavery lives to this day.
Enslavement reigned for 250 years on these shores. When it ended, this country could have extended its hallowed principles, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to all regardless of color. But America had other principles in mind. And the god of bondage was lustful and begat many heirs. What this committee must know is that while emancipation dead-bolted the door against the bandits of America, Jim Crow wedged the windows wide open.
Yeah. By the way, they're trying to slip the Jim Crow thing in, too.
And maybe we should just explain Jim Crow. This is bandied about so easily all the time.
Let's actually
Jim
read
Crow.
a definition from the wiki page.
Of Jim Crow?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. Let's get a Jim Crow laws. Oh, here we go. I can do it for you.
Jim Crow laws.
Yeah, Jim Crow laws were state and local laws that enforced racial segregation in the southern United States. All were enacted in the late 19th and 20th century by white Democratic-denominated state legislatures after the Reconstruction period. The laws were enforced until 1965. Okay.
So they need reparations for that, too. At least this guy does. But let's listen to the other side of the argument, which very few people want to discuss. Another black guy comes out, another writer. This first guy you heard was a writer. This guy's a writer with a different take on it.
On the other side, writer Coleman Hughes, who said he is descended from slaves owned by Thomas Jefferson, he argued that reparations would create false victims.
I understand that reparations are about what people are owed, regardless of how well they're doing. I understand that. But the people who are owed for slavery are no longer here, and we're not entitled to collect on their debts. Reparations, by definition, are only given to victims. So the moment you give me reparations, you've made me into a victim without my consent.
Well, unlike or very similar to Amy, I also brought two versions of the story from two different sides to the table.
That was Judy, by the way.
Yeah, Judy, Amy, Judy, interchangeable. Judy.
Well, nowadays.
Yeah. I brought stars to the table, man. Who was the first person that was talking? Was that Cuba Gooding Jr.? Who was the first guy they had?
No, he's a writer, famous writer.
Tahini Nahaki?
I didn't put any of the stars.
No, I know it is. Tahini. We've.
Yeah,
he's the guy
that's it.
Yeah, he's the guy that interviewed AOC, the big World War II interview.
Yeah, right.
Okay. You notice they didn't invite Kanye. Kanye would have been great at this hearing, but no one has that foresight. Because if you want to talk about the 13th Amendment, Kanye is your guy. Even Kim Kardashian West, for that matter. So just a quickie little setup. She was one of the head honchos. Sheila Jackson Lee from the great state of Texas. She's a Democrat for Dallas.
Reparations and the idea of this commission should be welcomed by all Americans. For we are not asking one American to give one payment. What we're saying is it's the only way that slavery ended was a governmental action of the 13th Amendment, governmental action. And Reconstruction failed after 12 years because it was imploded by governmental people. And after Reconstruction, a reign of terror that had never been seen. The hanging fruit, the lynching, the oppression of voting, the tearing away of land, and the amazing concept of the continuing de jure and de facto impact of slavery today. 1 million African Americans are incarcerated. That is a continuing impact. The black employment rate is 6.6%, in spite of what has been said currently, more than double the national unemployment rate. 31% of black children live in poverty compared to 11% of white children. The national average is 18%, which suggests that the percentage of black children living in poverty is more than 150%.
I love her numbers. Somehow, the percentage of black children living in poverty is 150%.
Well, she probably means 150% more.
No.
Percentage of black children living in poverty is more than 150%, even in spite of the glorious overcoming of the talent that is part of our community, the scrapping together of making sure our children received education, the putting together something out of nothing. We still have been impacted.
Okay. So here's my counter argument, and I was incredibly impressed by this guy. I had to cut it down quite a bit and take out a lot of his own personal history, but Burgess Owens. Are you familiar with Burgess Owens?
Yeah, I heard his testimony. He's a football player.
Yes. He was an all-star, wasn't he? Wasn't he?
Maybe. It could be.
Let me see. Tallahassee, Miami, All-American defensive back. Denver Jets, 1973. Anyway, what did you think of his testimony?
I thought it was good. It was a little
long.
It was too long, and it was kind of like logically challenged.
No, see, I disagree. I thought it was incredibly logical. I clipped it down for us. Burgess Owens, and I thought he hit the nail on the head, actually.
We are at this point, this is not about black and white, rich and poor, blue collar, white collar. We're fighting for the heart and soul of our nation. We have a very, very special country that started with the Judeo-Christian values that allowed every single generation to become better than the last. And that has not ended, that has not stopped until now. We're telling our kids a little bit something different, that they don't have the opportunities that we had. People change. I used to be a Democrat until I did my history and found out the misery that party brought to my race. We are fighting for the heart and soul of our nation against socialism, Marxism, and the evil that it has brought to us in the stealing of our history. Karl Marx said it best, the father of socialism, an atheist, anti-Semite, and a blatant racist. Yet we teach his philosophy in our school systems today. He said it, the first battleground is rewriting of our history. You steal our history, you steal our pride in our past, our appreciation for our present, and our vision for our future. And every single urban city in our country is now experiencing that loss. The history of our black country, of our black Americans, has been stolen from us for decades, almost over a century. Booker T. Washington, 1882, began Tuskegee University. By 1905, it was producing more self-made black millionaires than Harvard, Yale, and Princeton combined. The 40s, 50s, and 60s, it was a black community that led our country in the growth of the middle class, led our country in terms of men committed to marriage, over 70%, now it's 30%. Led our country in terms of the committed to business ownership, 40%, now it's 3.8%. Men matriculated from college. We now have a higher percentage of men incarcerated in college. I do not believe in reparation. Because what reparation does, it points to a certain race, a certain color, and it points them as evil, and points the other race, my race, as one that is not only becomes racist, but also beggars. I do believe in restitution. Let's point to the party that was part of slavery, KKK, Jim Crow, that has killed over 40% of our black babies, 20 million of them. State of California, 75% of our black boys cannot pass standard reading and writing tests, a democratic state. So yes, let's pay restitution. How about a Democratic Party pay for all the misery brought to my race, and those after we learn our history decide to stay there, they should pay also. They're complicit. And every white American, Republican or Democrat, that feels guilty because of your white skin, you should need to pony up also. That way we can get past this reparation and recognize that this country has given us greatness. Look at this panel. It doesn't matter how we think. The fact is, well, it doesn't matter our color. We have become successful in this country like no other because of this great opportunity to live the American dream. Let's not steal that from our kids by telling them they can't do it.
Yeah, that's what they should have. That's a message that they should have put on PBS.
You know, the funny thing about that message reminds me of a clip I didn't get, but there was this funny phenomenon in the sports world where Dwayne Wade, who is a famous basketball player from Miami, he was and he's a maniac father, a family guy, was being condemned for being like all about his kids. You know, it was like there is this movement, this anti-family bias that is prevalent, and it's mostly coming from the Justice Democrats and others. They really like to bust up. And they don't want to have, you know, like the guy said, there were 70% of the blacks in some area where, you know, families. Now it's only 30. It's just single moms, because single moms can do it.
California. He was talking about California specifically.
Yeah, California.
And the Democrat Party. He said it. He said,
the state is totally run by the Democrats.
Yeah, he says, let's have the Democrat. I like what he said. Democrat Party, you should pay for it. Hey, if you're white, you feel guilty, pony up. Fine, get it off your chest. But he says, I don't want my kids to be you know, explained to them, oh, you're a loser, you're a beggar, you need a hand up. And it seems like the minute that the Civil Rights Act came in, his timeline is up until 60, 65. It all went downhill from there.
Well, again, the sociology of all this is quite interesting. But I kind of felt the same way as myself being a lifelong Democrat. When I was, you know, raised as a Democrat. I'm a working class family, upper middle class. And I've decided the Democrats are just out to kill me.
You specifically, sir.
Yes, you're out to get me.
Well,
yeah, this thing is, again, though, it's just mostly virtue signaling. They're trying to get people to vote Democrat in this next upcoming election, which doesn't look too promising. And I watched I couldn't watch the whole thing because it's pretty much, if you've seen 2 or 3 of these speeches by Trump, even one, you've seen them all, because it's just fun to watch how well he handles the audience.
Oh, this is his announcement of his re-election campaign in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and another announcement. He it was a rousing crowd. The place was absolutely packed to the gills.
By the way, not viewable here in the United States of Europe. No, not. I mean, I could have gotten it on a YouTube feed, I'm sure, but it would have been 2 a.m. No, nothing. They've shown. All I hear is, it was nothing new, same stuff. Is that accurate?
No, it's always got something new. He does things. His speeches are very. This one was a prompted speech, though. It wasn't like his normal.
He didn't go off script.
Hour and a half or 2 hours. So he had talking notes, and he stayed on point, because it was supposed to be. It had a purpose as opposed to just a rally. That they're normally just rallies to get people all jacked up. I always notice that if you watch his speeches, he always has at least 1 or 2, and maybe sometimes 3 big-toothed, comely blondes in the back. It's wearing the red hats.
All right. Let's just stop for a second. Trump is a television professional.
Yeah.
And after we're done with this, remind me, because I have a clip of him being a television professional.
Okay, I'm putting a reminder.
Yes.
Anyway, so he always has, and there's always they're always eye-catching.
Well,
so
hello. Yes.
But you end up looking at these girls, and they always have flaxen hair, very pretty. They wear a Trump. They have the hat.
Women for Trump T-shirt.
Well, sometimes. She had this one girl that was very that caught my eye. In this one was she had a Trump elephant T-shirt, which I've never seen before.
Oh.
Yeah, it was an elephant. There was an elephant with the word Trump that was like a Trump making an elephant. It was very interesting.
A Trump trunk.
And so she was there, and they always had, but I've seen these girls before. They always have the hat, and the hat goes on and off. It's a red hat, and it goes on and off. And they always have long blonde hair, and it's not that cheesy looking Southern hairstyle that is like, looks like it was done by a beauty parlor. It's good looking.
Yeah.
But always the monsters. I don't even know if these women are attractive, but they have the right proportions of their face and a monster smile. Huge monster smile, and they agree with everything he says.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always 2 or 3 of them out back there. One just always catches your eye, and I'm always fascinated by this because if you look at a Bernie crowd, it's a bunch of beat up old bastards that look like they haven't taken a shower for a month and battle axes. It's just it's not a good look.
Doesn't Bernie have mainly dudes?
It's a lot of dudes, but a lot of women, but they're all gray haired and they're all.
Well, no one's doing any styling for the event.
No, they are definitely not doing any styling.
Stupid.
Hillary and Bill, and before her, they used to load up and I think Bush to a lesser extent would load up the background with military.
Right.
A bunch of military guys.
Yeah. Bernie's got dudes named Ben everywhere.
But what I notice is that Trump likes to harp on these nicknames, and this is the first compound nickname. I didn't think much about it when I first heard it. I thought it was just casual when he said it. But now I've heard it again at this speech, and I realize that this is going to be Joe Biden's nickname. And it's not the same as it used to be, where he just has some crooked Hillary, lock her up. This is a compound bit that has to be noticed, and this will be a Trump speech, the sleepy guy.
Remember the statement from the previous administration? You need a magic wand to bring back manufacturing. Well, we'll tell Sleepy Joe that we found the magic wand. The sleepy guy.
So it's Sleepy Joe,
the sleepy guy.
Sleepy guy. And he said this a couple of times. I've heard it before. I didn't think it was part of the bit. I thought it was just casually just dropped into sleepy guy. But when I heard it this time, I said, this is the nickname. Sleepy Joe.
The sleepy guy. Well, let's do a test. Since we were using Pocahontas years before Trump even decided to run. This time, we were using Pocahontas, and it was funny, and it was just ours. And once Trump did it, then we had to stop.
Right.
I don't have a better nickname, but I am a little surprised, but still anticipatory, that Trump at a certain point will just have to say, Sleepy Joe. No wonder they took the top of his head off twice. And he should be harping on the brain surgery.
I think he's holding it in abeyance. Because I think he wants
he's waiting
Joe
to drop
Biden
the big one. Yeah, I'm sure he does.
He'll say Sleepy Joe or Sleepy Joe, the sleepy guy, for a while, but that's not going to affect the Democrats. If he starts talking about the brain surgery, it would change the public perception. So he's going to hold that back until all the debates are over, and at least it'll be at the very end when he pulls that out. You're right.
It'll probably be one of these. It'll probably be one of these, like, Sleepy Joe, Sleepy Joe, rumba, rumba, hey Sleepy Joe, Sleepy Joe, Sleepy Joe, hey Sleepy Joe. At a certain point, Sleepy Joe will say something insulting, and Trump will go, at least I didn't have my head opened up twice. Something like that. That's probably what he'll do.
You know why he's sleepy.
we got to come up with something better.
There's going to be something that happens. Now, I'm waiting for the debates because that's going to change. I think the first debate's going to change this. In fact, I think it's already been changed. I don't think there's.
Yeah, wait. The first debate is coming up soon. Yeah, the end of the month,
the 25th.
This is the first Democratic primary debates.
Yeah, this is going to be the two-parter.
Yeah,
2 days.
Yeah,
2 days of debates. I do believe that. I caught Horowitz saying that a lot.
Did you call him on it?
I think that that this thing is over, and I mean, if Hillary gets in, it's still not going to change a lot. But it's going to.
Now, I saw you walking back to Hillary a little bit on the tweeters. You were saying, well, if Joe is the front runner, then she's not going to step in. But if Joe kind of drops back, then you think she'll still jump in?
I say that because it's a courtesy, even though it's hard to imagine.
A courtesy to who?
Well, Biden stepped back when she ran.
That's true.
And said, "I'll let you go."
That's true.
And now, if he takes the front of the pack and he kicks ass in the debates is everything for Hillary. If he kicks ass in the debates and wins, or at least he's up there with the top three, then I think she might relent. But there's no evidence that she's going to. But I'm just saying that it's a little insurance policy on my part. I can't predict the vice president, though, and I'm going to do it now.
Okay.
The vice president is going to be Kamala Harris.
You think she'll accept that?
Yeah.
It's a good ticket. That's a good ticket.
She's perfect for the vice presidency. She's a say nothing, do nothing ladder climber.
Yeah.
She sees this as a way to the top, and you'd think she would accept it. Hell yeah, if Joe Biden's going to be president, this guy could drop dead any minute.
Heels high Harris to the rescue.
And so Harris could become our president, which is something to consider.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of them could beat Trump, but it's possible that if they did,
it's a good ticket. It's a good ticket. It has all the elements.
She'll be the vice president no matter who it is. And it's either going to, Sanders is going to be, even though on my contenders list, I still have Sanders at the top, because if a true popular vote was taken and there wasn't corruption in the media who are promoting Biden, I believe Sanders could still win the whole thing. And, but they're not going to let him. So, but it's still Sanders is the top guy. Hillary's still number 2 and Biden's number 3. And Biden, when he picks and they're promoting him. So if Biden gets in, which I now believe might be the case, he will pick Kamala Harris because she is the best balance. She's black. She's a woman. She checks 2 different boxes. She's actually mixed race, which checks a 3rd box. And she's perfect. She's not a troublemaker. She's not going to upstage Biden.
Yeah, her answer to everything is that we need to have an honest conversation about that.
Yeah, that's
her
pretty
whole
much
thing.
why she's the perfect vice president candidate.
Yeah.
It definitely would not be Warren. Warren's out. She's done. And it's not going to be anybody else. Buttigieg? Yeah, I don't think so.
No, not
so
Buttigieg.
That looks like the ticket, the way it's shaping up. Unless Biden stumbles. And then if Hillary got in and she actually ran again.
Let me say, Biden has made a couple of stumbles, and he seems a bit bulletproof in that regard.
That's because the media is covering for him.
Okay.
The media really wants Biden because the media has convinced itself that Biden can beat Trump because of these polls that have come out showing Biden kicking ass. And so they're ignoring all his real, creepiness, creepy Uncle Joe stuff. They're pushing that to the side, and all his other screwy things like the son who's got, uranium mines and involved in oil shale and all the rest of it.
He does have some baggage, man. He's got some
a lot
baggage.
of baggage, but they can keep that under wraps, and they will, because they're not going after him. They gave a couple of salvos early, and he seemed to withstand it, and so he's just now is on his way.
Right.
Can't beat Trump.
Huh. I like that. I think it's a good ticket.
Harris.
It's a good ticket.
I want to get in. I want to do it today. Get in as early as I could.
Yeah, that's a good ticket. I think that's the way to go for them. But there's so many. I have to agree with your assertion. He wants Joe to be the guy, because that will be he sees that as easy, especially with the head thing.
Having his head.
The head thing's a problem.
Opened up twice.
That's rather problematic.
I didn't know it was twice, but oh man.
There was there was a news story that I thought it was just recycled or what's going on. All of a sudden we had Khashoggi in the news again over here on all the channels. And
here too, for some unknown reason.
Well, I figured it out. So this is being propagated by Agnès Calamard. And Agnès Calamard is a special rapporteur of the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights, OHCHR. Now, the last time, it was not this woman, it was a different woman. The last time one of these women, because so far it's only 2 we've looked at, comes from the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, it was about Black Pete in the Netherlands. And she was trying to get reparations for the islands that the Netherlands colonized. And that's really how the whole Black Pete thing started. And now it's just a mess every year, and children are crying. It's a big racial thing. And it's all trouble started by a rapporteur, special rapporteur, which means it's a side gig. It's a side hustle. Because what she really is a French human rights expert. The Wikipedia actually lists her occupation as human rights activist. She is also the director of Columbia University's Global Freedom of Expression Project. Now, you following me?
Yeah, I am. It's getting worse by the minute.
In 1995, she received a PhD in political science from the New School for Social Research in New York. So, yeah, so you know where we're going.
Operation.
So she shows up, and I'm like, what are they doing about What does this have? What does she have to do with Khashoggi? Official pronunciation.
Jamal Khashoggi.
There you go. And it becomes obvious at the end of this report.
Saudi Arabia had knowledge of and is responsible for the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, according to a UN special investigation into the killing. The much-anticipated report says Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, and other senior Saudi officials should be investigated over the brutal death of the journalist in October last year. He was brutally killed and dismembered in the Saudi embassy in Istanbul.
Can you stop?
Of course.
You have to start that clip over.
Why?
Because there's a contradiction right in the clip, and I'm kind of have to listen to it from the beginning. Sorry.
Saudi Arabia had knowledge of and is responsible for the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, according to a UN special investigation into the killing. The much-anticipated report says Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, and other senior Saudi officials should be investigated over the brutal death of the journalist in October last year. He was brutally killed and dismembered in the Saudi embassy in Istanbul.
Anything you found? Or
yeah, I'm going to bring this up. They start off by saying he had knowledge of, et cetera, according to, and thus must be investigated. What, did they not do an investigation to come up with this assertion?
Well, the special rapporteur. The special rapporteur.
If they already did the investigation, which is what, if you listen to the beginning of that clip, it sounds like he was investigated and this is their conclusions, but now he must be investigated. What are they talking about?
Well, obviously it's cover for something else.
The first important...
This is Agnes. Here she is. Here she is, the superstar. Doesn't really matter what she says, but you just get the idea.
Istanbul.
The first important conclusion of my report is that the responsibility of the state of Saudi Arabia is implicated into that killing. This was not a rogue operation, as they have insisted it is. All the elements pertaining to the crime demonstrate that the responsibility of the state is involved. And I'm basing my analysis on a review of the evidence and on the review of the legal framework regarding state responsibilities.
So this is what this woman does, is she reviews everything that's already been hashed out a million times and then says, my reportage says it must be investigated. It is responsibility of the state of Saudi Arabia. So she wants to shift the blame from Mohammed bin Salman to the entire state, and there's a reason for it.
I have concluded that there is sufficient evidence to demand additional criminal investigation into the liability of high-level officials. That includes Saud al-Qahtani and the Crown Prince himself.
Our correspondent Christina Jovanovski said Turkish authorities are pushing for sanctions against Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I forgot to mention one important thing about this woman, is that she has a master's degree from Başkent University in Turkey. So she's connected to Turkey, the special rapporteur, and that's important to note here.
And the Crown Prince himself.
Our correspondent Christina Jovanovski said Turkish authorities are pushing for sanctions against Saudi Arabia for their alleged part in the murder.
Well, the Turkish Foreign Ministry says that it supports the recommendations of the United Nations. Those recommendations included wider sanctions against the Saudi Crown Prince. The Turkish president has said the killers of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi will pay the price, as well as the report showed that Turkey was being mistreated. Saudi Arabia, for its part, has said that the report shows nothing new, that they're baseless allegations. Of course, a key response, though, will be from Washington. The U.S. President Donald Trump wants to go ahead with a multi-billion-dollar arms sale to Saudi Arabia, but today the U.S. Senate is voting whether or not to block such a measure. Even some Republicans have supported opposing this arms sale, a rare bipartisan show of support in the Senate. However, 2/3 of lawmakers will be required to block the arms sale and as well as block a possible veto from the U.S. president.
And there it is. It's all about the arms sales. It's about nothing else but weapons. It's the military-industrial complex being kind of thwarted by somebody, or maybe Turkey wants to make some noise. It's all about weapons. Has nothing to do with Khashoggi.
Yeah. Well, there's competitors to the arms.
Sure.
I mean, there's a number of backgrounds.
And they bring in the shill from Turkey to help stir the shit up. This Kalamar
You can
woman.
imagine a couple of scenarios. One, Turkey's doing this on behest because
of the
they
Russians.
still want to get into the EU, on behest of the aerospace industry in the EU.
Oh, okay. Airbus, yeah.
Because so here we go. Look at the favor. This is like doing them a favor.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the Saudis will buy from the Europeans instead of from us.
Yep.
Also could be a backdoor thing for the Russians.
Yeah.
The Russians and the Turks are still pretty tight.
The Turks just bought their S-400 systems.
Yeah. And so you end up with a lot of, this is political machinations that have nothing to do with the murders, all to do with arms sales. You're right. That's exactly what it is. And we're the public is being abused.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Well, we have a few people to thank, and we won't abuse them.
No, absolutely
with Nils
not.
Bonnecker in Hamburg, Deutschland, $111.11. Joseph Cernell in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. $100. First donation, give him a de-douching.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
Sean DeSantis, $100, and he's going to be knighted.
Yes.
Humble slave kneels before you.
Now, does he have
completed my requirements?
We should let me read. Wait a minute.
Leave out the profanity.
What is it? Do I have the whole thing here? I have
Lord and Lady of Gitmo Nation. I think you do.
Oh, he wants. Oh, okay. Lord and Lady of Gitmo Nation, 'tis I, Sean DeSantis, a humble slave that kneels before you. I have completed the requirements. $1,000 to a podcast. To be knighted in the kingdom of sanity and normal-sized amygdalas. Having been a loyal slave since immigrating to the kingdom 7 years or so ago, I have hit many in the mouth, as is customary in our land. Furthermore, I have completed the self-imposing pilgrimage of listening to all shows from number one, doing so as a fan of history and wanting to better understand the lineage of our great nation. Yes, it was a long and hard road, so I have knelt before you, wounded and tired, but steadfast in commitment to my fellow douchebags, producers and slaves. With knights and dames of the Round Table as witness, I request the title of Sir Sean DeSantis, Knight of the Northern Everglades, Guardian of the waters that flow through, Protector of Florida, wildlands, and trainer of those that drive airboats, a.k.a. Sir Sean for short. Hookers and blowers, all I need at the table. Wow.
I'll get an airboat ride from this guy.
He has an airboat. That is very cool.
Yeah, I've never been on one.
Me neither. I remember reading about them in the Happy Hollisters book. I love the Happy Hollisters.
Yeah, go bombing around the Everglades.
And they used to get all kinds of airboat rides in Captiva and Sanibel. The Happy
Funny,
Hollisters.
after all that falderall,
yes,
he's not even on the list.
But the list of what?
Knights.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
Don't do that to me. You don't. Please do not confuse the system. That was a cold read, by the way. I'd like to hear it for the cold read.
Oh, very good. Very good cold read.
Thank you.
Especially with using the
accent.
phony baloney accent.
Yeah, pretty phony baloney.
Yeah. Sir Hamus, $100. Some house karma coming somebody's way at the end. Catherine Whitesell in Maybank, Texas. Wherever that is.
I don't know where that is.
De-douching in order.
Okay, de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
We do have a birthday listing for someone.
Yes.
Dame
G Money, yeah.
Scream if they can get it.
Yeah, Dame G Money.
Ditties.
It's Dame G Money.
Derek Lawless in West Peoria, Illinois, 8008. The only boob donation today.
Single boob.
Sir Rick in Arlington, Washington, 6996. Sir Jim Zuckel, 6969. He says, this donation was the donation amount that first compelled me to donate at least 10 years ago. Let's carry on the traditional amazing product. Rabbi Sandlin?
Rabbi Sandlin, yeah.
Oh, late with my Father's Day call out. We have to mention his dad then.
Oh, but then again, he says, we Finns celebrate Father's Day the second Sunday in November, so this actually makes me early. Huh?
This is to my spry 93-year-old dad, a veteran of Finland's continuation war against Russia during the Second World War.
All right.
For Finland, the war ended in second place, but we staved off the Russian onslaught and belonged to a select few of European countries who never were occupied by outside forces.
See?
Thank you, Dad.
Props to that.
Yeah. Thomas Gould in Huntington Beach, 5656. He did send in a handwritten note, which is worth reading, I guess. Donation in the memory of my father, lying in rest at Fort Sam Houston, Texas.
Oh.
USN Chief Yeoman, American Red Cross, Blue Lodge, Grand Master, Alzafar, Highlander, Bagpipe, Black Bexar Bagpipes, Alamo PC Volunteer, Dirty Joke Connoisseur. He passed away. Very few people are. If you're a Dirty Joke Connoisseur, you should have a copy of Legman's books, especially the Volume 1. It costs too much money nowadays. He passed away prior to Obama's immaculation and was spared from something. Shady's antics. Moose Slim. It says Moose Slim. I don't know. Jingle request. De-douching would. Oh, he needs a de-douching.
Yeah, de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Okay.
Thank you, Thomas.
That was
Thomas Gould.
Thomas. Nicholas Oman, 5555. William Verhaar in Neuwagen.
Okay. This is from the Netherlands. Willem Verhaar. Nieuwegein. Nieuwegein. And he says, I want to wish my father a nice Father's Day because he's my father for many years now. Also, a little health karma for my smoking hot wife waiting for her leg to heal from removing sun damage. Yes, we'll give her that at the end. And although you're late, sure thing. Always happy to do that. Thank you, Willem. Hello?
Needs a daughter Claire on the birthday call. At least we got that.
Hold on. Wait, I didn't hear you. Did you do Dean Roker?
Yeah, I said Dean Roker,
Oh,
5510.
yeah, we missed that. We missed it on the stream. All right. Then Renee Latour. Wait, is this of the famous Latour vintage? De Rothschild?
The Latour is named after a tower on the property, not after any people.
Oh, damn. Okay. Shows you what I know. Hey, I drink my wine from a tube.
Tube drinker. Guy drinks from a tube, if you know what I mean. Nicholas Elaine, $52.
You're good today, man.
Up Karma coming up at the end. Eugenia Rockwell, 5119. Andrew Benz.
Wait. I'm sorry. Eugenia needs a de-douching and an F cancer, so we'll do the de-douching F cancer at the end. Of course.
You've been de-douched.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Andrew Benz in Imperial, Missouri. George Wojcik in Universal City, Texas. Maxine Waters Gravel's back.
Woohoo!
This gravel is gonna end up with a knighthood pretty soon. That's $50. Along with Woodchit in Universal City. These are following people. I'm just gonna name and location for the $50 donors at the end here. Thomas Tollett in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Joel DeRuin in Savannah, Georgia. One of the prettiest cities in the country if you've never been there. Robert Case in Mill Spring, North Carolina. Sir Eric V.M., Baron of the Valley in Van Nuys, California. Jeffrey Smith, 50, long since last donation, best podcast. How many requests? Some F cancer, another F cancer at the end. We're going to do that.
And he has a de-douching.
Yeah, okay. You've been de-douched.
Brad Taylor in Duval, Washington. Scott Lavender in Montgomery, Texas. Andrew Gusick, who I believe Sir Andrew Gusick in Greensboro, North Carolina. Sir Jerry Wingenroth, who comes in every month from Saugus, California. And last but not least, a pop money, or as Eric puts it here, poop money, with the $50 by the name of Michael.
Who knows? Maybe it was poop money. You don't know.
Villarreal.
That's right.
So we want to thank all these folks for supporting show 1148 and the No Agenda show in general and helping us produce this thing.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and also thank you, everybody under $50. You're not forgotten. We read all the notes if you do send them, but typically people don't do that because they want to be anonymous, and that's why it's under 50. That is another part of the regs and rules. But also people are on the subscriptions, and I'd love for you to go check them out. We do have a website for that. It's easy to remember. Dvorak.org/NA. Multiple karmas to hand out here.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
It's a birthday. Oh, no agenda.
Yes, indeed. It is the 20th of June. My, how time flies. 2019. Here's our list. First, our belated birthdays. Nick Vargo Fieldler turned 37 on the 16th. Happy birthday. Jeffrey Smith says happy birthday to his son, William, who turned 8 on the 18th. And now, looking ahead, we've got... hold on. Renee Latour. Happy birthday to her daughter, Claire. And she'll be 17 on the 22nd. Katharina Whitesell says, happy birthday to Dame G Money. We love Dame G Money. And Sir Ryan, Knight of the Three Rivers, turns 28 on the 28th. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. Let me see. We got some... Oh, I thought I had a meetup jingle. I got to get this into rotation. Yes, we do have a meetup jingle.
No agenda meetup.
That's right.
It's like a party.
Just like a party. No agenda meetup. The list is growing. NoAgendaMeetups.com. People really enjoy doing these. They like hanging out with like-minded people who won't condemn. It's crazy. It's like your own very little Mastodon instance with no blockage. The 27th, Southeast London reconvenes for a meetup. The 28th, Portland, Oregon. The 29th of June, South Florida. Then we have July 4th, Seattle. July 6th, Utrecht, the Netherlands. Oh, that's a new entry to the list. July 9th, Knoxville, Tennessee. The 11th of July, Charleston. I think that's in the Carolinas, this Charleston. July 13th, Atlanta, Georgia. July 20th, the reconvention of Southwest London. They're going to be regulars in this. The 26th of July, St. Louis, Missouri. July 27th, Buffalo, New York. And on the 27th, Frisco, Texas. And then we jump ahead to August 9th, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I'm thinking we should go to that one. Because that's the man. That's the Earl. Murfreesboro.
Well, and a bunch of other guys.
Well, there's lots of people there. Yeah, of course. It's exciting. Very cool. NoAgendaMeetups.com. You can find a meetup, or... Are you trying to distract me because it's working?
No, this is like adding a little life to this thing.
Okay, well then, like a little music bed, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. A music bed.
Okay,
that's exactly what I'm doing.
All right, well, give me a little more music bed, and I'll finish up the segment. So, yes, NoAgendaMeetups.com. You can go find one near you, or you can list one yourself. It's fun, it's easy, and John and I would like to show up at your meetup, and now that the Keeper and I have some time, we are considering looking around to see if we can find one to go to. NoAgendaMeetups.com. All we need to do now is do our nights. Here we go. Can you swap out the recorder for your? Oh, there it is. Good. All right, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Anonymous, Sheila DeMardrin, and Sean DeSantis step up here on stage. The three of you today are joining the No Agenda Roundtable of the Knights and Dames. Thanks to your support of the show in the amount of $1,000 or more. Thank you so much, and I am very proud to pronounce to KB, Sir Thurblig, Dame Sheila, the Lady of Lisboa, and Sir Sean DeSantis, Knight of the Northern Everglades. For you, we have hookers and blow, rent boys and Chardonnay, waifus and waffles. We got harlots and haldol, ruminous women and rosé, vodka, vanilla, geishas and sake, bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pavlomad, mutton and mead. The mutton is fresh, the mead is a day old, but it is dynamite. And you can grab a hold of that. And also your ring, we do have a reward for anyone who becomes a knight or a dame of the No Agenda Roundtable. It's a fine signet ring, comes with its own sealing wax and a certification, and we'd love to have you tweet that out, or more importantly, put it on the Federation. Get a Mastodon account. Go to noagendasocial.com. Yeah, go ahead and in fact, I think that I'm going to start morphing away from Twitter, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to post everything on noagendasocial.com, and then I'll post a link to it on Twitter. So people will be like, "Oh, what's Adam saying?"
Subversive.
I know. It's so cool, isn't it? And I'm actually going to ask Dave Jones to make that automatic for me into the Freedom Controller. So I can do it all in one fell swoop. Yeah, come on, man. We got to support the Federation.
I'm not supporting nothing.
Why not? Why don't you support the Federation?
I'm not supporting the Federation.
Such a buzzkill.
I'm supporting the rebels.
We are the rebels. That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's what they convinced you.
So yeah,
that's the way the Federation operates.
Have you seen? So Bitcoin is just pounding along here.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Libra then.
That's exactly why I brought it up. First, the current Bitcoin price, 9,391, and I'm sure having Facebook come out as with their own crypto coin has somehow given validity to the concept. But I certainly put question marks around the implementation that Facebook's doing. What do you have a clip or something? You have something about
I do have Libra Facebook as Amy Goodman would have it.
In a move that could reshape the world's financial system, Facebook has unveiled plans to launch a new global digital currency called Libra. Facebook announced its plans Tuesday after secretly working on the cryptocurrency for more than a year. It plans to launch Libra next year in partnership with other large companies, among them Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and Uber. Facebook said it wants to create, quote, a simple global currency and infrastructure that empowers billions of people. David Marcus, Facebook's cryptocurrency chief, appeared on CNBC on Tuesday.
If you want to compare Libra with traditional cryptocurrencies, the first thing and the first big difference is that
it's bogus.
Typically, cryptocurrencies are investment vehicles or investment assets rather than being great medium of exchange. And this is really designed from the ground up to be a great medium of exchange, a very high quality form of digital money that you can use for everyday payments and cross-border payments, microtransactions, and all kinds of different things.
Facebook's plan has already come under fierce criticism from financial regulators and lawmakers. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire said Libra must not become a sovereign currency. In Washington, the chair of the House Financial Services Committee, Congressmember Maxine Waters, called on Facebook to pause its development of Libra until lawmakers and regulators have an opportunity to examine these issues and take action. Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown tweeted, quote, Facebook is already too big and too powerful, and it has used that power to exploit users' data without protecting their privacy. We cannot allow Facebook to run a risky new cryptocurrency out of a Swiss bank account without oversight.
It wasn't enough for these guys to just buy the credit card payment information from the companies who do a fine job of payments. No, they want it all. And this is part of their downfall. Were they high when they came up with this idea? This is so stupid.
Well, I always wonder where Beans went. If you remember that
Beans, that was Whoopi Goldberg's virtual currency.
There was Beans and some other one. It was Jooms or something. There's the second one, which I can't remember the name of. This is an old idea.
Well, this is a little different. Wait, it's a little different. Because yes, it is.
It's a modified version. By the way, before you go on, I want you to explain, and I have a second clip. I want you to explain to me how Ron Paul's operation got busted for making Ron Paul dollars.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, this is during the era of our show.
Yes, I do remember this.
And somebody got thrown in jail for doing this, but this is okay?
It was Liberty dollars.
Yes.
And, let me think. Liberty dollars. There was, okay, so it wasn't so much about I think they busted one of the guys who was running it they wanted it out. That's for sure. They didn't want it to happen, and they had some mechanism. I have to look it up again. You know what? I'm sure one of our producers will know exactly what happened back in the day. But this is still a very different idea, because what they're talking about here is becoming a central bank. They want to be the Federal Reserve of this money, creating and so it would be minting or burning, destroying money as they deem necessary, which is novel. And they want to peg it to a basket of currencies and short-term investments, which is like the venture capitalist dream. And they have to be dreaming it's going to work, because they've got to be asleep right now. This will never happen. And
well, let's listen to clip 2, and this guy brings up some real problems, which I think is why it will never happen.
We're joined by David Dayen. He's executive director of the American Prospect. Recently wrote a piece for the New Republic headlined "The Final Battle in Big Tech's War to Dominate Your World." Welcome to Democracy Now! Talk about these major developments, David Dayen. Explain exactly what Libra is and what Facebook is trying to do.
So Libra, as Facebook describes it, is a currency. Cryptocurrency. When you talk about that, you kind of think of something like Bitcoin, but this would actually have reserves. So they call it sort of a stable coin. It is backed by actual money that is various international currencies and also government securities, and so that should prevent volatility from the unit of exchange, Libra, going up or down very much. It'll fluctuate a little, but not in the ways that we think of when we think of Bitcoin. So according to Facebook, that is the way that this can be used to purchase goods on the Facebook app or on any other app or website that offers payment in Libra. It's a way to transfer money to other people on the Facebook app. Obviously, we have, over 2 billion people that use Facebook. It's a way to transfer something of value between those users. And it's because it's backed by international currencies and can be used across borders. It's really, supplanting the need to exchange money. You don't have to go from dollars to euros necessarily. You can just pay in Libra. So that's sort of the pitch that Facebook would make. The other side of this is that there's no real regulatory setup. It's displacing global currencies in some ways. There are serious monetary policy concerns, serious regulatory concerns. Could this be used to facilitate money laundering or tax evasion? There are a whole host of unanswered questions around this.
Well, yes, of course. This is exactly. It would be as if Bitcoin was stoppable, and we said, "Hey, come and stop me." It's the stupidest thing ever. They should have released it and moved on and gotten traction. Why this makes me suspicious that they never intended to do this, or there's some other thing they've got up their sleeve. To announce it and say we'll have it in a year, it makes no sense. Trial balloon, maybe?
That's interesting. Or test marketing. You can do that legally.
And for all these companies, I want to
I think you're right. There's something else. There's something up their sleeve. We don't know what it is, though, unless you can.
Well, unless they just decide to go with Bitcoin. But Bitcoin doesn't give them all the benefits that they really want. And Bitcoin does everything they just said, only with a decentralized architecture. And that's another, they'll be mining the coins. It's all this. Oh, man. Maybe if it's just to discredit Bitcoin over and over again, that's an interesting take.
How about this for a possibility?
All right.
Because already they've gotten backlash from people like
between you and I, we're PR professionals. We never would have done this. You know immediately that. And you got Maxine Waters now against you. Are you
maybe
crazy?
That's the point. Maybe as PR professionals, exactly what.
So there we go. That's what I was worried about. What could they be?
Because what you're doing, and it's not for some other. The only nefarious thing is you guys are on our. This is like writers and people in certain TV shows. They write in. Simpsons a good example. Family Guy's another. They write in extremely offensive bits
Yes.
that end up getting pulled out by the censor so they can leave in other offensive
things.
bits.
Yes.
So this is like an offering to the gods. Oh, you guys stopped us from doing that. You guys are always on our case. We can't do anything without you guys involving yourselves and trying to run our business. And now they can whine about something.
Well, for sure, every single Silicon Valley company that we've looked at, one of the ultimate goals always seems to be that they want to be your bank. You know, Apple with Apple Pay, Google, with Android and payments, they all want to be your bank. That's like some holy grail for them. Wow, once we get their money. It's like, yeah, I'm going to have those guys in charge of my money so they can turn it off. No. Well, we're going to have to see what comes. I mean, if it was a very smart PR move, if there is by some crazy realm of the imagination in another universe, another Curry Dvorak consulting group who came up with this 1-2 punch, I can't wait to find out what it was, but I'm not there yet. I don't understand.
Well, it will never be revealed. Hey, we got a phone call from the Social Security.
Oh, you did, huh?
And I want to tell people out there, they're going to be calling you.
This call is from the Department of Social Security Administration. The reason you have received this phone call from our department is to inform you that we just suspend your Social Security number because we found some suspicious activity. So if you want to know about this case, just press 1. Thank you.
Hey, man, it's a deep fake.
So thank you, Elizabeth Warren, for putting a stop to this.
Everything these days, I'm just going to say deep fake. Just deep fake. I don't care what you say. Who came up with the name deep fake?
Oh, that's been in the cards for a while.
It's some newspeak shit. I'm sorry, I wanted to play this because I didn't get to it on the last show. I think it's incredibly important as we've been talking about ads online. Things are changing rapidly in Gitmo Nation East in the United Kingdom. The advertising rules have changed. And I'm not talking about online, I'm talking on television.
From today, ads featuring harmful gender stereotypes will be banned in the United Kingdom. The move follows research that shows such stereotypes pigeonhole people and restrict their choices and opportunities.
So one of the new guidelines includes being sensitive to the well-being of vulnerable populations, such as new mothers. So ads can no longer suggest that looking attractive, maintaining a pristine home are more important than their emotional well-being.
They will also have to stay clear of depicting children's activities as being inappropriate for any gender. The ban also applies to ads that suggest that happiness is gained by conforming to stereotypical beauty ideals, like this ad, which was accused of body shaming.
So, advertising watchdogs are hoping to expand choices so that ads like this one depicting a girl growing up to be a ballerina while a boy becomes an engineer will become a thing of the past.
In 2018, Stockholm banned both sexist and racist advertising from its streets. Berlin also introduced similar bans in 2016.
And some in the UK say the new rules are trying to be too politically correct, but the watchdogs say it's just harmful stereotypes that will be banned, not all of them altogether.
How is a little girl wanting to be a ballerina a quote-unquote harmful stereotype?
Yeah, I know. And I can't answer the question.
How does making a little boy want to become an engineer a harmful stereotype?
I can't answer the question. It's baffling.
How does any woman, black, white, Chinese, anything, getting all dolled up with a lot of makeup from a makeup company, a harmful stereotype? If you're a makeup company, what are you going to do now?
I know. It's as I said, it's baffling, and this is actual rules now. Did she say it was a law?
Well, this is the advertising agencies bringing it on themselves. You can blame WPP and Omnicom and those other guys.
Hell yeah,
because they're the ones who support all this. This not equality nonsense, but all the kind of left-leaning ideas that are out there that are what's the movement that's called? Or it's I can't remember it. But this is them. They're the ones who are big Hillary supporters that are pushing these agendas, and now they're screwing themselves. You cannot advertise if you can't do anything.
I know. It's just it's baffling. It's baffling.
More power to you, boys.
So apparently, Trump just said he finds it, quote, hard to believe Iran's downing of the drone was intentional. Quote, I have a feeling it was a mistake.
Why is he saying that?
Well, I don't know why.
Somebody told him.
Void Zero said he was going to send me a clip, but I haven't received it. That's interesting. So, backing off, huh?
Apparently, I guess there's something going. Something's going on we don't know about.
Well, maybe he didn't like the whole false flag idea. Maybe it actually was bullcrap, and he found out, and he's like, "Hey, probably he doesn't know the full story." That's pretty huge.
All right, I do have a little news deconstruction to do.
Okay.
I found that Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! Was misleading, and I find it to be
what?
Yeah,
it was
reporting.
Woo!
So the Trump lost his the Shanahan guy who was a Boeing executive.
Yes,
he moved into kind of the acting Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
And of course, the Democrats have made a big deal about this. But let's play Amy Goodman on Shanahan. I want to ask you a few questions about what you learned from this report.
Acting Secretary of Defense Patrick Shanahan has resigned and withdrawn from consideration for the permanent head of the department. He's resigned his post as Deputy Secretary of Defense as reports of domestic violence against his ex-wife circulated. Reports included details on a 2011 attack by Shanahan's then 17-year-old son who beat his mother with a baseball bat. She was left unconscious with a fractured skull and internal injuries that required surgery. Patrick Shanahan then wrote a memo arguing his son was acting in self-defense after his mother verbally harassed him. He's also believed to have delayed his son's surrender to police. Shanahan apologized for the memo, saying it was only intended for his son's attorneys. According to the Washington Post, court records also revealed a previous incident in which both Shanahan and his wife alleged they were assaulted by one another. Lawmakers are raising questions about the vetting process for administration officials and whether the White House knew and deliberately withheld allegations against Shanahan as early as 2017 when he was being confirmed as Deputy Secretary of Defense.
So the way she starts off, what is your conclusion to this when you hear this story?
This family is whacked, literally.
Well, what's going on, you think? Do you have any idea? Because it's really not explained, except if you listen to the beginning of her
it's some
thing,
kind of domestic abuse situation.
The guy's beating his wife.
Yeah, But then it sounds like maybe they were fighting and it was equal or it was confusing, but
maybe.
No one really just said domestic abuse allegations.
Well, she did at the beginning.
Yeah, okay. So
play the beginning again. I want to stop it. I will tell you when to stop.
Okay.
Acting Secretary of Defense Patrick Shanahan has resigned and withdrawn from consideration for the permanent head of the department. He's resigned his post as Deputy Secretary of Defense as reports of domestic violence against his ex-wife circulated. Reports included details on
his ex-wife.
Well, yeah, they got divorced.
Yeah.
As domestic violence against his ex-wife circulated. What does that sound like to you?
Sounds like an allegation. Sounds like
that
a rumor.
He's beating his wife.
Yeah, but it sounds okay. Yes, but it sounds like a
Doesn't
rumor.
It?
Yes.
This is Amy saying this guy's a wife beater, and it's very common. And then all of a sudden, the son has got a baseball bat, and he's beating the woman because it's like, this is the kind of thing that goes on in a family. The dad's a wife beater, and the son becomes one. Now, it's pretty extreme when the son's beating up a mom, but that's okay. So let's play CBS's version of this, and this is the Shanahan ousted clip.
Good evening. I'm Maurice Dubois. This is our Western edition. Another key member of the Trump administration is leaving. Today, Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan withdrew from the formal confirmation process, even as tensions with Iran are escalating. Defense and 8 other top administration jobs are now held by acting leaders, including Homeland Security and Chief of Staff. Shanahan's exit comes as court and police records of domestic violence surrounding his divorce were brought to light. David Martin has more on that.
Patrick Shanahan and his wife Kimberly divorced 8 years ago, a year after a run-in with police, which began with this 911 call.
My husband throwing punches at me.
According to court documents, he denied that and claimed she had punched him, giving him a bloody nose. When police arrived, she was the one charged with assault, which was later dismissed. After the divorce, fights over money and custody of the 3 children continued. In 2011, their 17-year-old son beat his mother with a baseball bat. I was knocked unconscious twice, Kimberly declared in court documents, adding that her ex-husband has taken the position that I provoked the assault. The documents are all public and were available to the FBI when Shanahan was nominated to become Deputy Secretary of Defense in 2017. But a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee says they were never told
that there was something in this nominee's past, Patrick Shanahan's past, that was deliberately concealed or mistakenly covered up.
2 White House officials told CBS News they knew about Shanahan's family turmoil when the president announced last month he would nominate him as the next Secretary of Defense. Today, President Trump claimed he just found out.
I had heard about it yesterday for the first time.
Announcing his resignation, Shanahan said, continuing in the confirmation process would force my 3 children to relive a traumatic chapter in our family's life.
Oh, so it was a hit job.
So here is a couple of things we should know. First of all, this is spousal abuse that nobody likes to talk about. This is when the woman is the abuser. And this kind of abuse is always passed. Always the men. It's always the men. The Red Pill movie, by the way, discusses this in great detail. But let me read a few things here from a report. The police investigated disturbance at the couple's residence on 1 a.m. August 28th to find Patrick with a black eye and bloody nose and Kimberly with a bloody forearm. Officers questioned Kimberly and say she had a strong odor of alcohol along with bloodshot eyes and incoherent speech. They were arguing apparently over whether or not to put their daughter back in school for her senior year. During the argument, Kimberly threw a pile of Patrick's clothes onto the front porch, then attempted to remove the propane tank from their backyard grill to set them on fire. When that didn't work, she tried lighting a roll of paper towels on fire in an attempt to set the clothes ablaze. He was trying to pack up the clothes, and Patrick was trying to pack up the clothes in a suitcase and leave the residence when Kimberly tried to stop him. She alleges they fought over the suitcase. Patrick punched her supposedly several times in the stomach, according to her, and demonstrated to officers that she was struck in the face. Patrick's account alleges that Kimberly was the aggressor and came at him swinging her arms in a paddling motion, striking him several times, breaking his nose, by the way, while he was asleep and tried to cover his face. This was 2 sides of the story. The couple's son corroborated Patrick's version of events and told police he saw Kimberly attempting to light the clothes on fire. Anyway, this goes on. They arrested the woman.
Ugh.
So they get this story goes on and on. And so she moves to Sarasota, Florida. I want to read this to show what kind of person we're dealing with here. This was down in 2014. According to probable cause affidavit, on August 23rd, 2014, Kimberly Jordanson, who's her maiden name, was on the phone with the business partner, Eric Goodman, when she had to cut the call short. Goodman called her back, and an argument ensued where Jordanson hung up on him and then texted him, "Get your piece of shit car out of my driveway." Goodman was storing a 2003 Mercedes 230 at her house in 109 Warbler Lane. When he returned to pick it up, the front and rear windshields were busted out, and there were numerous dents around the vehicle. Goodman spoke to her neighbor, Gardner, who told police he saw Kimberly with a medium-sized sledgehammer methodically circling the Mercedes-Benz that was parked in her driveway, and that the person observed Jordanson strike all sides of the Mercedes, including the front and back windshields, with a sledgehammer. I mean, this is a psycho.
Wow. Wow.
But the way Amy puts it, this guy's a wife beater. This woman is a psycho. And if you have to think about it, the son having to beat her back with a baseball bat, this is nothing his son normally does with a mom.
I want to play the Amy Goodman clip now. Just now that we have that, thank you for that entire deconstruction and for the work you did on it. Now let's once again hear how that was portrayed by Amy.
Acting Secretary of Defense Patrick Shanahan has resigned and withdrawn from consideration for the permanent head of the department. He's resigned his post as Deputy Secretary of Defense as reports of domestic violence against his ex-wife circulated. Reports included details on a 2011 attack by Shanahan's then 17-year-old son who beat his mother with a baseball bat. She was left unconscious with a fractured skull and internal injuries that required surgery. Patrick Shanahan then wrote a memo arguing his son was acting in self-defense after his mother verbally harassed him. He's also believed to have delayed his son's surrender to police. Shanahan apologized for the memo, saying it was only intended for his son's attorneys. According to the Washington Post, court records also revealed a previous incident in which both Shanahan and his wife alleged they were assaulted by one another. Lawmakers are raising questions about the vetting process for administration officials and whether the White House knew and deliberately withheld allegations against Shanahan as early as 2017 when he was being confirmed as Deputy Secretary of Defense.
Well, sounds like everyone's being a right gentleman. Like
now the other
keep
thing
this out of the kids and all this stuff, and just let the psycho ex-wife go away.
Let's make one last point. That a lot of this argument was over custody of the children during the divorce.
Yes,
all three children, all three of them are totally estranged from the mom, and she got no custody.
Yeah.
So how is this guy the bad guy?
And why? Is this just to embarrass Trump?
Just the Democrats pulling their stunts. Schumer comes out, and these other guys, these other creeps from the Senate come out moaning about this guy. How did he get picked in the first place?
What a bunch of douchebags! Destroying careers ever since we invented slavery. Wow. Yeah, that's a good one, John. I appreciate that. That's deconstructing right there. That's how it's done, kids. You want to do a show? That's how it's done. Watch Uncle John do it. I'll be back in Austin for the next program. And I do want to big thank to Jesse Coy Nelson for end of show clip. He's got a funny one. And Sir Chris Wilson just did an amazing job on yet another end of show song, which he needs to be publishing this stuff. It's getting just too good. So thank you very much, everybody, for helping with the deconstruction, helping with the show, helping with the finances, all part of the Value for Value Network, and coming to you from the Algarve in the south of Portugal. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday with another episode of the best podcast in the universe. Please remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos, and such.
It's not easy being green, having to spend each day being the color of a new deal. When I think it may be nicer being red or yellow or gold, or something more revolutionary like that. It's not that easy being green. It seems you blend in with so many other ordinary means. And Congress tends to pass you over because you're not standing out, like impeachment for Russian collusion or invading Iran. color of money. And green can be cruel and vegan-like. And green can be big, like a wind farm. Important, like a carbon tax, offset by trees. If green is just a Green New Deal, it may make you wonder why wonder, why Soros? 'Cause AOC's green, she's fine, she's beautiful. She'll be our president in 2033.
You're a mean one, Mr.
Glitch.
Frustrated Target customers stuck in long lines when a computer glitch caused problems at checkout.
Taxpayers who waited till the last day to pay Uncle Sam may have suffered some digital distress Tuesday as the U.S. Internal Revenue Service's computers were hit with a glitch ahead of the midnight tax deadline.
Did you guys get affected by this? I really want to know how many people got affected by the Facebook glitch in the past week.
You're a mean one, Mr.
Glitch.
A technical glitch that caused chaos at London airports on Friday has now been fixed, and air traffic control systems are returning to normal.
They were deployed longer than any other combat unit in Iraq, and now they're fighting the Pentagon over benefits. Their deployment orders were written for 729 days. That happens to be 1 day short of the 730 days needed to qualify for benefits under the GI Bill. Well, tonight the Army is telling NBC News they predict this glitch will be fixed and the Guardsmen will be eligible for those benefits.
But I think the big glitch, the major glitch, the whopper, is going to supersede everything you said, and that is the automated update of Windows worldwide.
Yeah,
that brings down everything.
The
best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA.
1 and 1 and 1 is 5.